Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man so tough, but mans keep walking. Yeah, just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
Hello?
Papi.
Dime.
Papi.
Yeah.
Oh.
What happened?
Papi.
I'm still recuperating.
Papi, get me down.
No. I tell you one thing. I wasn't expecting that kind of performance. Losing at home by 40 points and 60 points, that got to be a record.
It is a record.
They are in the record book. They got to be a record.
They are in the record books. Papi, what happened?
I don't know. Spoelstra looked like he was shell-shocked. Did he have a press conference after the game, or he just left the arena running on fire?
No, he had a press conference. He said he was embarrassed.
He said he was embarrassed?
Yeah, that was embarrassing, Papi. It's humiliating.
He has the best gig in the NBA. Are you kidding me?
Why?
$18 million for 6 months of work? That's a hell of a deal.
Yeah, Papi, he's very good at what he does.
Huh?
He's very good at what he does, Papi.
Is he really? I don't know.
Papi.
I guess you are the expert. You know, I'm just a fan. I mean, I just sit on the stands and I just watch the performance. It looked to me like he was shell-shocked on the sideline.
Yes. Well, yes. It was an embarrassing season, Papi. You were caught on the Jumbotron eating. Did anyone tell you that?
Well, no. I'm always eating, so that's not a big deal. I mean, you got to tell me something that I don't know. I knew that when they put me on TV, I'm always eating. What can I tell you?
So no embarrassment about that? Like that they caught you with your fingers in your mouth?
No. That's okay. No embarrassment. That's my go-to move. Whenever I'm a little bit nervous, I begin to eat. Do you see Hero? He had a hell of a series. And so Adebayo.
You made him Hispanic.
Adebayo? No, that's his last name. That's how you pronounce his last name.
Who are you mad at? Who are you mad at?
They had that. They had that pick and roll play. They used that play. The Cavaliers used that play about 50 times during the playoff against the Heat. You know, the 50. The pick and roll with the.
It's a good play.
The pick and roll, yeah. Well, they couldn't stop them. I kept using the play. I'm sitting there and said, you got to stick your foot out or do something, kick the ball, you know.
Something. yeah, it's true. It's true. You do have to do something there. You have to stop them from doing that.
You got to do something, man. You know, I mean, time after time with the same guy, whoever number 31 was, you know, he was a big roller, and Spoelstra was was on the sidelines. I couldn't believe it. Spoelstra, you know, you got to tell them to stick their leg out.
All right, Papi, what are you going to do? Mom said that she was thinking about not renewing the season tickets, and then she told me she is renewing the season tickets, but she doesn't like going with you anymore because you're complaining too much.
No, I don't complain. I just watch the game. I never complain. I just watch the game. Well, I tell you one thing.
What the hell
I
was
couldn't
that?
believe that shell shocking. After that shell shocking, you begin to wonder, say, what the hell is going on
Did
here?
you just get up from the couch or something? There was a sound made there that I didn't recognize. Did you just get up from the couch?
It's a stretch.
No, I was laying on bed. I was recuperating.
Okay, yes, from the loss a couple of days ago. Yes. So what?
I couldn't sleep. I haven't slept for about 3 days.
Okay, well, the game was less than 3 days ago, so you were not sleeping before the game, and then it was a very embarrassing weekend.
Oh, even Mickey Harrison, he disguised himself. He was wearing a fake mustache, sunglasses, a wig, the whole ball of wax.
That's not true in any way, Papi. There's not a ball of wax, and Mickey Harrison did not leave the arena wearing a mustache.
Mickey was Groucho Marx.
And a
I'm telling you.
You didn't see him? Are you going to claim that you saw him?
I thought he was going to see where I said, that's right. Trying to tell me himself.
Dad, you did not see Mickey Harrison. You're not reporting that you
that he was his twin brother.
My father's reporting that Mickey Harrison left the arena in a wig and a mustache and sunglasses. That's an official Le Batard report.
Put it on the crawl. Put it on the crawl.
My father is reporting officially to the country with the Le Batard stamp on it that he saw Mickey Harrison leaving the arena the other night in a mustache, a wig, and sunglasses.
Like a ball of wax.
Investigative reporting.
What happened to your timing with Amin there, Zaz?
Better reps,
They've never worked together before.
Yeah, first time this group works together.
Zaslow came in with some of his rattiest attire. I asked him to bring in the 3 worst things from his closet that his wife hates the most because they're the oldest thing.
I think I brought in some good ones, but when I told my wife yesterday, Dan wants me to bring in the clothes you hate washing, because I keep bringing them. She goes, we've given so many away to Goodwill,
Yes,
so
over the years. Yes. Well, but that's the only reason they're leaving the house. She's giving so many of. It's not we are giving those away. You would never give those away. Those would keep stacking up in all of the closets of your house.
These are important artifacts, okay?
Good that have gone to Goodwill.
Yes, Goodwill, Salvation
because your wife
Army.
doesn't want them in the house anymore and would set them on bonfire in the back of the house if she could.
I can't even describe. I don't know. Like, you guys are married over there on the other side. I don't know. Do you have this experience? I come home. I was on the Miami Heat radio broadcast for 12 years. So every single time they had a shirt on the chair, I'm always bringing a shirt home. And my wife gets so mad at me.
Can we guess which ones they are from the great years that they would give the stuff away? There's got to be a white W shirt where it's like they would spell like white hot, so it would put like WHITE. There's like one white W shirt.
Let's do the entirety of this, though. How many shirts? What have you brought in?
I brought in 3.
It's all T-shirts.
Yeah.
And my hypothesis is it started with me saying that I think he's got shirts in his closet that are older than Greg Cody. And while I'm joking about that, I do believe there's the possibility that he unleashes something from 1988 in here. Like, I believe that
I was 7 years old. Why would I hold on to that?
Because you're that weird.
It's going to fit my arm.
Because if not for your wife, you would have every shirt you'd collected since that age.
Hates it.
She sent all of this stuff out of the house.
I'm like, why? I look good in this. Come on.
What is the oldest article of clothing everyone has? Because the oldest thing I have a T-shirt from high school senior year from track team. I don't wear it, but I still have it. I won't throw it away.
I have a Dare shirt.
Whoa.
And it still fits, oddly enough. I don't remember when I got it, but it's one of those Dare shirts that looks like I got it in elementary school.
I have a 2003 Marlins World Series champion shirt that is ripped apart at the seams at this point, but it's still there. I mean, it doesn't fit. I was 8 years old when I bought it. But
I think I got you guys beat. I have a Glenn Rice Charlotte Hornets jersey.
But a retro one that they redid, or like an original OG one?
That I bought when the Heat traded him to the Charlotte Hornets.
I got you beat because I have an Anthony Mason Knicks jersey.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is a memorabilia off. I've got you beat Anthony Mason does indeed trump Glenn Rice, but not by much. Both pathetic.
Rest in peace.
Come on.
Billy, the oldest garment in your home from Marlins shirts given away at stadiums?
I have a lot. I have like them folded, and I have them like at the top of the closet. Like this is like a do not wear section, just because they're old and like ratty. But I don't know why I haven't gotten rid of them. I've actually like recently come to terms with I'm probably gonna have to get rid of these for some reason, and I don't know the reason other than it's just so crowded. And my wife, I think, throws away some of my things without me knowing. Because, like, I'll come home and I can't find things. And after about, like, a week of not finding things, we have, like, a good system going, right? Where, like, sometimes her mother will, like, say, like, oh, let me help out. Like, I'll take some laundry. I'll go do it at my house. I'll bring it back. So, like, there's always an excuse of maybe it's at my mom's house. Maybe it's here. So, like, there's always this whole thing of maybe it's in another one of the houses. And after, like, about a month of not seeing something, I know what's up. Like, I know my wife got rid of some of my stuff, and she's just not telling me.
How much of this is going on around here? Because, Chris Cody, I am guessing your wife is got a T-shirt cannon that she is just blowing things out of the house like a leaf blower with, because you've got so much crap she doesn't want in the house because you're your father's son.
She's often telling me I need to go through my clothes. Maybe she is doing stuff, and I'm just unaware of it.
That's the move.
But, like, once a week, I get the, you really got to go through your
The thing
clothes.
is, like, I've now realized that this is a problem. Like I could go back to '97 on some Marlins stuff if I wanted to, like '97 championship
But
year.
in the corner,
I have a
wait,
97.
but is there a do not touch? Excuse me. Is there a do not touch? That's the
Well,
memorabilia.
she's short, so I just put it higher than she can reach. You know what I
That
mean?
move.
Like it's off in the top corner of the shelf, and then there's like shoes and other things in the way. She's gonna have to get a step stool and get it in there. There's not enough room. I have a hat rack. She can't get to it. I just put it where she can't get to it, and then she can't get rid of it because I know she's getting rid of stuff. I have like a Marlins. It's actually really cool. They like have them out now, and I wish that I had grown earlier than I did, because in '97, I was 10 years old, so I was little, and I grew late. I had a late growth spurt. I grew in junior year. Like
Kids always want to be bigger.
My first license, Zaz, said that I was 5'3". So I was at 21 years old going around with my license saying it was 5'3", and everyone assumed it was a fake ID.
But you're tall now.
I know. I had a growth spurt junior year. 5'3" is what it said on my license, because that's when I got it, like freshman, sophomore year, whatever. I have a starter jacket that I got from Santa Claus that they wore like in the dugout when they were in Cleveland in the cold, with like the blue sleeves and the black and like the teal letters. But it's an adult small, so it doesn't fit me. Wow, so I told my wife, that's yours if you want to wear this. You know what I mean? What's this?
Wow, Billy Wednesday.
What's this business?
Wow, Billy Wednesday. Wild Willie Wednesday, Wild Willie Wednesday, Wild Willie Wednesday, Wild Willie Wednesday.
Oh, did I get shot?
What was that about?
Seems disruptive.
What just happened there?
Wild Billy Wednesday.
Yeah, you mentioned
Who
that.
is that?
I don't know what that was, but it's a lesser voice than all the other ones that we've paid for professionally around here that are better than that one.
Can I ask you a question, Dan, that I was thinking about, like, when your dad was talking? Because it seems like this is causing marital strife.
It's
the
an
season
tickets.
tickets.
This is, look, I don't know what's happening with my parents and these tickets, but I will say to you that the Heat streak is in jeopardy next season because they've been selling out the place for a long time. And the big story from last night, I think if we're going to be transaction heavy, is Giannis producing that game and losing and being eliminated by a Pacers team that doesn't have a player as good as him. And that is a structural problem, management problem, not able to keep a champion around him problem. And he's been passed in a way that his excellence, the window's closing on his excellence. This is the back end of his prime, is it not? It's not. I'm not even saying, I'm knowing that statistically you're looking at somebody who's looking as good as he's ever been, but there has to be a descent from here, correct?
I mean, that's what you said about Brady, and then he won 2 Super Bowls, right? Like, he's having his best statistical season ever.
Okay, I'm not saying he's not great. Not my intention. My point is, as great as he is, he can't be losing in the first round. That doesn't lose in the first round when it's that great. That's a structural issue.
He's lost because he's missed playoff games. He has lost 10 of his last 11 playoff games. Like, that's pretty nuts for a player as great as he is. Can't win a playoff game.
Well, he won a playoff game, but the stats...
That's what I said. He can't win a playoff game.
But he did win a playoff game.
Where did we come up with
He likes doing that as...
What?
Was it him? Was it Mike Ryan? I don't know. Was it
Whitney
Whitney?
did it too.
No, Mike Ryan stole that from Zaslow. That is a Zaslow original.
I've learned this show has stolen some stuff.
That is not. Mike Ryan won't claim. I think Whittingham stole it from Zaslow too. That should be a patented catchphrase. That should be copyrighted by Zaslow. Anyone else in the market has stolen it.
There's no better way to emphasize something happening one time. It's the best. Yeah. Try doing it a better way. You can't.
Okay, but his point is that Giannis, in the last 3 seasons of playoff games, has won a playoff game. Oof. And his numbers statistically all start with a 30 on the points. Like, on average, that doesn't make any sense. And last night he's out there at the end, and they gagged it away. Like, they gagged away the season the same way they gagged away the season against Jimmy Butler that led to just perpetual descent from this team from the championship helm.
I mean, Doc Rivers after the game was impressed with that meltdown. My God.
He's got a point. I mean, you got to be good enough to be up that big in order to blow it. Exactly. If I wasn't good, I'd be like the Heat. I'd be down 60. Yeah.
The season tickets with the Miami
Yeah, back
Heat.
to your parents' marital strife. So here's my question is, let's say, and Dan, I hope this doesn't happen for you, even though it could lead to 2 Christmases, but let's say your parents get divorced in their
after
70s, 80s, whatever it is.
Wow, that
right?
would be shocking.
Let's say they get divorced as a result of the Heat because your father now has become someone that your mother doesn't like being around at Heat games because he's always complaining or whatever. Let's say they get divorced. Do you hold that against your beloved Miami Heat and Pat Riley and Mickey Arison? Like, do you guys say, you guys broke apart my family, you ended my parents' marriage after 50 years, I will no longer report your ice cream stories for you? Like, what? How do you handle this situation?
Thank you, Wild Willie, for asking me that question. And in that particular case, I would have to side with my mother and her lover because she run off to be happier with someone who wasn't complaining about the Heat all the time for 15 years.
Drews.
Well, is your mom having an affair? Like, what's happening? Your mom has a lover?
No, I'm not alleging my mother is
is
having an affair. I'm saying, look, this is what I'm saying. My mother has said this, okay? There's my father who was on television, and that person is Papi, and she said she would love to have an affair with that man. That was never the man who came home. The man who came home was always firing Spoelstra, complaining about Shaq for missing free throws, saying LeBron wasn't good enough. Behind the scenes, my father was just complaining about the Heat for 15 years.
A real fan. Tell you what, he's not wearing Panthers gear today.
I mean, like, what? Why am I taking shots?
I didn't say you.
For supporting the greatest hockey team in the land.
Welcome to the show.
No one said you.
I want to talk about things you can do in 11 seconds in honor of that hockey game where the Panthers got quickest defenseman playoff goals in the history of the sport to really, just change everything about that series.
Seth Jones, my dog.
In 11 seconds. You mentioned that yesterday. But before I do that, can you just show me the first of the items that you have brought in from among your 3 old items from the closet?
I'll go in like
the bronze medalist,
Yeah.
the weakest of the, and this. But your wife is happy to have this of the house. She'd be happy if you left it in a dumpster
She's
here.
hoping I leave it here.
Yeah, a dumpster here. If she'd be fine with it. You guys are all. Tony, you don't have this problem because you care about your style, right? Jeremy,
of course.
you don't have this problem. I mean, have you had this problem where you have too much junk in your? Well, no, because what
It's
do you
an
mean?
accusation. Like, are you saying that Tony has style, so he lacks sentiment?
No, forgive me.
I do.
I recognize this in a mirror, right? It's not even. I'm not even judging you. I too would have in my closet if my wife hadn't corrected this for me. Heat Family Festival 2016. It's a 90s throwback. It's presented by Carnival.
I'll take that.
Mickey Arison.
Not bad.
Mickey Arison, Carnival.
9 years, that's nothing.
Yes. No, that's 9 years. That's the first of the items.
That's good.
I'm going to call it a little fraudulence because it's clearly been made to look like, it's weathered, right? But it wasn't actually weathered. That's how it came brand new looking like that.
And you would throw it in the garbage can now, or you never would because you value value it.
Feel how soft this is. It's so comfortable.
It is comfortable.
What'd you think? You were going to get him come throw his stuff away today?
I just didn't know. If his wife had the choice, if your wife said yes or no, throw that away.
She hates this shirt.
She would set fire to it.
She hates this shirt.
It's less than 10 years old.
I have a question for you, Zaz. What's the line in terms of, like, your wife? Like, you have children, obviously. You have a family. But, like, if she says, we got to get rid of this one shirt. You're like, oh, okay, like we're not gonna ruin our marriage over one shirt. But like, what is the number of shirt or Glenn Rice memorabilia where you're like, you know what?
Well, stop right
Hit the
there.
road.
There is no piece of Glenn Rice memorabilia or clothing that will ever leave the Zaslow Mansion.
Okay, so I'm just saying, like, where's the line in terms of like, if the option is, and she's just fed up with this, and she says, your clothes or me? That's the line, Glenn Rice?
She knows we don't do ultimatums like that in my house.
Okay, good.
You need to understand the gauntlet that has just been thrown down here publicly to his wife, who does not like gauntlets thrown at her feet. Thank you, Billy, on a Wild Willie Wednesday for providing that. If you're willing to ask the question, I think you will get a straight answer. Who do you love more, Zaslow, Glenn Rice or your wife?
You don't need to answer, Zaz.
Please don't.
I think he wants you to, but you don't need to.
Don't answer that
Yeah,
question.
it's fine.
As your lawyer, I'm going to advise you not to answer.
You probably know Glenn longer.
Why are you trying to get me in trouble?
Yeah.
Do you remember what happened at my wedding? No. Where Dan, okay, so at my wedding, so this is back 2007, and Dan's at my wedding, and Dan did a great thing. Like he helped, he got the Miami Heat to put together a wedding video. Okay, the players, and it was really, really nice. And you were going to get Glenn Rice part of the video, and you were going to show it to me at the wedding, but your better judgment decided not to show me at the wedding because you thought that was going to be what I was excited about instead of getting married on my wedding night.
I had the story going completely different when he said, remember what happened at my wedding? I thought Glenn Rice showed up.
Yep. Well, I think that was like I think he thought about doing that as well and decided better of that.
Zaz, I'm not talking about showed up like, oh, Glenn Rice is a guest. I'm talking about Glenn Rice showed up. And when the priest is like, does anyone have any? Well, I mean,
rabbi.
Yeah, you have an officiant, and the rabbi, the priest, the officiant,
weird if there was a priest.
is asking right before everybody exchange. Jonathan's lovely wife to be. Before we exchange these rings, we want to give anyone an opportunity to say their piece, to object to this wedding. Does anyone have any objections?
I object. I object. Jonathan Zaslow, I've never loved a fan more than I've loved you. Don't make a mistake we'll both regret for the rest of our lives.
I would have left with Glenn.
This is not what I expected.
I'm very much looking forward to the reveal of these next two T-shirts. I do believe, I don't remember the specifics of the story, but I have a general recall of having the feeling that it would be bad judgment at Zaslow's wife's wedding day to bring someone who stands out over the wife physically in the room and in her husband's eyes.
I'd have been so excited if you showed up.
Like I could have, in her husband's eyes, I think was the greatest problem. And so I have a general recall of thinking to myself, I feel like that was close to happening and then it was pulled back.
I don't like that. That's sexist. Saying that it has to be the wife's day. Why can't it be Zaslow's day too? Yeah. You know what I mean? It's his wedding also.
I actually think what happened was I think you wanted to go forth with it, and I think Boog Shambi talked sense into you that this. I think Boog said this is not a good idea.
That makes way more sense.
I think
that's what happened. I think somebody. I would have made the mistake. I would not have known to not make the mistake.
I'm trying to figure out who my Glenn Rice is, who I would want to show up at my wedding more than my wife.
Dontrell Willis.
Oh, that's a good one. I was thinking Miguel Cabrera. We were locked in. I was thinking 03 Marlins.
The first time I told my now wife that I love her, she thought I was talking to LeBron James because it was after an Eastern Conference playoff win over the Indiana Pacers in 2014. That last year he was here and things were looking desperate. And so I had been looking at my phone, talking about LeBron, seeing things on Twitter. And then just because everything was so great and she made some sort of joke and I said, oh, I love you. And she said, quote, are you talking to me or LeBron? We're married now.
It is funny, though, that the idea that what elicited the first I love you was a storm of emotion that was brought about by LeBron James.
The Miami Heat. And now I work on their broadcast.
And now they're worse than they've ever been.
Not ever.
They won
I mean,
championships when
they've
I was
never-
on their
The Heat
broadcast.
or Jeremy and his wife?
No one has ever looked like they looked in those.
Wait a minute.
What is this guy doing? He's trying to ruin everybody's
asking for
marriage.
clarification.
It's Wild
He's
Willie.
clarification.
Okay, this is what he's doing. What do you mean? What is he doing?
I'm asking for clarification.
Yes, right. Yes. Okay. Excellent.
Just asking.
My wife and I have never been better. Thank
Okay,
you.
good.
Okay.
That's what I'm checking.
I wasn't asking. Nobody was.
Marriages.
Nobody was.
Jeremy's only had one marriage.
No, but you've been trying to attack 3 marriages today.
No,
Lourdes and
false.
Papi.
You are
Zaslow and his
Tony,
wife.
Tony,
And
falsehoods.
okay.
Listen, I have said before, and this is a very unpopular take, but I have been pro-divorce. Like I've told you that.
Good
like,
stance.
I've told you if you're in an unhappy marriage, why drag this out for 8 years? Just get divorced now. I've told you that. I'm not like pro-divorce and that I think everyone should get divorced, but like I'm pro-happiness, and like if you're unhappy, why are you gonna drag it out?
You've got a couple of stances here though that are winners, because it's not just that you're pro-divorce. You're also pro-solitary confinement, restrict me to my house. And
Solitary confinement in what sense of the word?
Just in a bathroom by yourself for a while where
No,
you've got
I
a
mean,
moment of peace,
yeah.
or
But not like in a rubber room.
No,
like,
well,
you know, I get, you know, I get a couple things. I can get like a phone or a TV. or whatever. I'm pro not being spoken to.
I believe.
at
Okay,
all.
I believe
yeah,
you've
not
been
solitary
in
confinement.
some forms. I can accuse you of being pro-isolation, pro-pandemic, pro-solitary confinement.
Oh, I was the happiest I ever was during the pandemic.
Pro-imprisoned in your own home.
And it's not a prison. I mean, the prison is in my mind, if I'm going to be honest with you. That's the prison that I'm stuck in, is the one in my mind. I don't see what, like, I'm just asking questions here about, you know, these are normal questions that anyone asks.
But you're asking them of all the married people, and
That's not true. I haven't asked Chris to get a divorce.
not yet.
Or Tony.
We're
Tony
early.
just had a kid. I mean,
We're
I don't
just
wanna
in the
get divorced
local
now, he
hour.
just had a kid.
It's early. Give you
4
time.
hours left.
Wild Willie Wednesday just started. You've come
I
after everybody.
I haven't asked for anyone to get a divorce. You said that your parents were having marital strife because
You
of
brought
the heat,
that into
and
my
I
life.
asked who you would.
You started with my parents. That's
no,
where you started.
No,
You started by divorcing my parents after. It's not a falsehood.
No, Pat Riley's ineptitude has brought this into your family. The fact that they have put together a terrible roster brought this into your family. The fact that they made your father miserable and then have him behaving miserably around your mother may lead to a divorce. And I'm asking, who do you side with? Who's the real culprit of that divorce? Is it Papi or is it the Heat for bringing him to that point? That's a fair question. I'm just asking, should that happen, who you side with? With Zaz, I think it's a very normal conversation. Like, we've had this conversation too where I said flat out, my wife throws away my things. I'm convinced of this, and the only way I can protect things is by putting them where she can't reach them. And knowing that he's bringing in things today that you, Dan Le Batard, are trying to have him throw away. Prized possessions of his that you're having him try to throw away.
I'm not having.
You asked him to put in the trash can.
We're
just rewriting.
That's
history
not
now.
what I said. No,
That
I
happened.
said his wife
Zaz?
would put them in the trash can.
Did Zaz? Did he ask you to throw them in the trash can?
No, he implied that my
Thank
wife
you.
would like me to
Thank
throw
you,
them in the
Zaz.
trash can.
Thank you.
Tomato, potato.
Okay, you are a bit unruly for the first hour.
I'll go. You
No,
want me to-
I don't want you to
I don't
go.
know the rules today.
Well, Wild Willie Wednesday doesn't get kicked out. Like
Oh.
if we're celebrating,
Don't set that precedent, Dan. Do not set that precedent, Dan.
Started.
If we're committing to Wild Willie Wednesday, we all have to take the consequences of that wherever it is that we end up.
That's gonna get flagged 1,000%. We've done it 800 times.
Who owns that sound?
That's public domain.
Yeah, that
baby.
is like
That's
the
public
most-
domain.
I feel
We
like you guys are
test
just
things
talking.
now, Billy.
That's got to be 99 years old past that, right? This is 100 years old.
that sound's been tested.
That is a we didn't really finish the sounds tournament, but that was an iconic top 50 all-time sound of all sounds produced anywhere. Would anyone disagree with that? I know like Klay Thompson wants to be top 75 and Scottie Pippen doesn't like anyone who puts him outside the top 50, but if I put that sound in the top 50 of sounds of all time, does anyone argue with me?
Top 50? No, it's definitely top 50. Yeah, that's definitely top 50. Now, is it top 25? Like now in the top 10? Oh, it gets dicey.
But no one's disputing that it's top 50.
Top 50 easily, comfortably in the top 50.
Top 50. So one of the greatest ever made.
Absolutely. And it's you know how it's great, Dan? It's great because people don't even know where it's from. That's the true sign of greatness. When they don't even know where it's from, they just know the sound.
Well, is it the good, bad, and the ugly? It's a Western
I
of
think
some
that's what it's
sort,
from.
right?
It is the good, bad, and the ugly, but it's like the scene in American Gangster where Denzel's explaining to Cuba Gooding Jr., who I met the other night.
Whoa! Hold on a second. I'm sorry.
All right. Okay. All right. So Denzel Washington is explaining to Cuba Gooding Jr. how his character is a drug dealer who's cutting his drugs and then putting the same label as Denzel Washington's character. And he's
That's
like,
not gonna go
you
well.
can't do that. He said, like Blue Magic, that's a brand name. Like Pepsi, that's a brand name. The people don't know me any better than they know the chairman of General Mills, right? Like the idea is that it doesn't even matter where it came from. All that matters is that they know it. And that sound right there, they know it.
I want to get into a couple of things, with you about what happened last night. Haliburton's dad, this plague of dads in the NBA who are living vicariously through their kids. The Pacers are really fun. I'd be curious whether you think Haliburton or Siakam is their best player. I like both of them a great deal. I think Siakam is underrated, and I think it's insulting to say to Haliburton that he's the most overrated player in the league. But that's a fun team that knocked Giannis out, and now Milwaukee is in disarray, and it ends with Giannis confronting a dad who has crossed the line.
Well, he didn't confront him. Giannis was literally just standing there, and the dad runs onto the court and tries to make it about him. And I think that's the part that I gotta applaud Giannis for having a lot of restraint, because he could have, as he said in his post-game press conference, I didn't know who it was. I thought it was a fan running onto the court. And so this is one of those times where I'm not even gonna blame John Haliburton, Tyrese's dad. I'm gonna blame security. Yo, I don't care whose dad it is. Like, you can't have people running onto the court who are not allowed to be on the court.
Whoa, you can't blame security and not the dad there.
Absolutely blame security. That's your job. His job is to be dad.
Connington is the only one playing security right now. How does a player? I'm with Amin a little bit here.
Well, let's play the video again.
There's a pie chart of blame here.
Look at this, because this is the angle, right? Look how long it takes for anyone to be like, John, come on, let's go. Let's get out of here. Nobody. Not Pacers team security, not the arena security.
Got guys getting video of it. There's like a camera guy.
How is the first person who gets there
Connington.
a player from the other team?
I'm not arguing security did its job well.
Sounds like you are.
I'm arguing you cannot have an adult human being who is the father of an NBA player being such a child that he feels comfortable standing in front of a 6'10" giant, feeling like he can talk to him disrespectfully when he's steaming because he's a champion and his franchise is just falling apart, and the game ended that way. If Giannis had headbutted that man, Giannis would have been in trouble, and I would have been like, I understand that Giannis is really frustrated right now, and nobody needs to be around him.
I don't know. I'm just going to say, would he have been in trouble? A fan on the court like that, it's trespassing. And maybe Giannis, he doesn't know who that is. That situation could have went so different.
I would not have blamed Giannis at all if he had pushed that old man 7 rows deep. I'm not kidding you. 7 rows deep into all those people. And all those people fell like bowling pins.
Okay, now I want to imagine if Giannis shoved any one of us as hard as he could, what would happen? What would be the repercussions? I'd probably be dead. Just a shove. Not even not a punch. Just
Are we expecting it? Do we get to take a defensive stance?
That matters.
Sure. How about that? Sure.
You think a player's strong enough to do what he physically did when he was the only player the Pacers were worried about last night? A player, by the way, that every franchise in the league should want to trade everyone for. Like there are 5 like that on earth.
Just not Bam.
You want to have one of them.
If you want me to be honest, though, on Pops Haliburton, he stood on business. He stood on business. I will say that. Okay, he shouldn't have been on the court. He shouldn't have been taunting Giannis. But when Giannis walks up to you and he walks up and basically goes nose to nose with Giannis, if you have sans context of what's going on there, you're like, what is happening? What are they going nose to nose for? He stood on business, Dan.
Dan, I'm gonna tell you right now. What do players always like to say? Oh, you're so tough on your keyboard, but you don't say nothing when I'm in front of you or whatever. You guys would probably all run away. John Haliburton said, "I'm right here, buddy."
Yep.
Head to head.
Nose to nose.
Who? He's ready. That guy was ready.
Here's the part that is the weirdest to me about that situation. Obviously, it's ridiculous behavior from the father, but the father's super excited. His son was amazing, had the game-winning basket. When you're watching your son perform like that, and it's maybe the biggest win of his career at that point, wouldn't you run over to celebrate with your son? Wouldn't that be the first thing you think of as opposed to, I'm going to taunt that guy, or I want to go celebrate with my son who's standing on the scores table posing for the crowd?
Don't legislate his joy, man.
Exactly right.
This is his joy. His joy is talking to the opponent. That's his joy. That's where he finds his happy spot. Again, shouldn't have done it. John Haliburton, shame on you.
But
You don't get on the court. But once you're past that line, we're here already.
All right, Haliburton did that to Giannis at the end of the game. Did it at the rim. I don't think a Pacer has done that since Paul George against LeBron. Like, you don't get those shots at the rim at the end of games. That's a breakdown in Milwaukee that will have Doc Rivers confused for the remainder of the offseason.
Me and Tony were watching the play again. He crossed the out of Giannis. That's
nasty.
Like Giannis, one of the greatest defensive players on the planet. He crossed the out of him.
And afterwards said on Twitter, because he doesn't mind being a villain, overrate that, because I understand how happy the Haliburtons were. And I also would understand, backed by Tony, who's saying Dad stood on business, if Dad was then not standing on business because Giannis had grabbed him by the ankles and, not unlike a discus thrower, spun around and threw that old man 90 rows deep like he deserved to be thrown, because I don't care how happy he is for his son. You don't go after the 6'10 giant on the other team who just had the franchise collapse on his neck.
I like the idea of there's a big commotion in the crowd after the game while the Pacers were celebrating. What's going on over there? Oh, Giannis threw Haliburton's dad at the stands.
Giannis frisbeed Haliburton's old man into the popcorn.
I like the discus or the shot put because there's a little spin to it. In my mind, I can hear the cartoon sound effect.
You know what? Forgive me. It's neither the discus nor the shot
hammer
put.
throw.
It's the hammer throw. I have Giannis spinning around from midcourt and launching something further than a T-shirt cannon does. And what is it? It's Haliburton's old man.
I don't think you can throw John Haliburton, I got to tell you. That seems like a guy you don't want to get in a fight with.
Right.
Like, I don't know that I would take Giannis if they had an actual fight.
wow.
What are you guys talking about? Dad stood on business.
Hold on, Dan.
Dan.
Hold on, Dan.
Would you have gone nose
Your
to
eyes
nose?
closed? Yeah, what's happening?
Dan, let me follow Billy down this path. You ever been like walking and there's a pigeon and you're like, and the pigeon doesn't fly? Wow.
Yeah.
And you're like, what's up with this pigeon?
Yeah.
What has this pigeon been through that is like?
Why are you going, it's a pigeon?
Because, I like to make
You
them fly
gotta,
away.
yeah, you gotta, yeah.
100 John Haliburtons versus the Gorilla.
100 Don Haliburtons.
What?
I think you should flip it. 100 gorillas versus one John Haliburton.
Halliburton, heads rolling. Papa Halliburton, they're like bowling pins. The gorilla's just rolling 100 heads down the street. Idiot heads that got in its face.
This episode is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
What are you laughing about? I mean, just the timing of our executive producer?
I'm laughing at you, laughing at his timing.
It's just perfect.
It was mwah.
Yeah, just
Chef's kiss.
didn't tell me what he was doing, didn't inform me, just barreled on ahead.
You should get a divorce, Chris.
Yeah, there it is. Another checkbox. Tony, you're on
The last one, yeah.
on deck.
David Samson is with us now. Nothing Personal is the name of his podcast. There are a number of different things that I wanted to talk to him about today, inside and outside of sports. But he made Zaslow's dreams come true. Zaslow feels like he's on a heater ever since David Samson and he made a bet, a giant bet, that now ends with the Heat producing the last good thing they did this season, really, in terms of getting Zaslow work here, paid work here, and tickets 2 nights to Pearl Jam that our audience is sick of hearing about. So you guys want to hug each other here.
Hello, David.
And be grateful for your newfound friendship. I don't know what your relationship was before this.
None.
Were you somebody who said a lot of bad things about David Sampson's ownership of the Marlins?
No. And especially because I was always for the stadium. Like, there's a stadium here, so now we have baseball. Team sucks, but there's baseball here forever now. David had a major part to do with that, so I've never said bad things, no.
I'm not sure I recollect it that way, but I do know that I enjoyed watching you at the Pearl Jam concert. The only issue I had, Zaz, and we talked about whether we should stand at concerts when we did show together last week, but what I didn't realize is that I was not going to hear Eddie Vedder the entire night. All I heard was your voice. Every word, every song in my ear, and I didn't know what to do. I thought of an elbow. I thought of earplugs. I thought of switching seats, but I didn't have a seat. It was a whole Megillah, but your voice is mediocre.
Why didn't you have a seat?
Because Le Batard is outrageous. Do you understand what happened? What happened is we had tickets, and they were hard tickets, actual tickets, not on the phone. Tickets were distributed to each of the people in our party about an hour and a half prior to the concert. When it came time to enter the venue and show the ticket, Dan Le Batard says, "Sorry, I can't find my ticket." He lost his ticket, which would have kept him out of the concert. He was there for his wife, for her birthday. So my girlfriend has to go looking in a casino for his ticket. Doesn't find it. And I'm forced to get him in because I knew security people at the concert.
By the way, that was so impressive. Like, David made a phone call, and a guy came out, and, like, we're okay, even though Dan doesn't have a ticket, to maybe the toughest ticket I've ever seen down here.
So Dan gets into the concert. There are 8 of us for only 7 tickets. So we squeeze in, and all of a sudden, there's this guy standing where our seat is. And no one else said a word. Dan is just sort of standing there with his eyes half open. And I said, "Excuse me, this is not your seat." And what does this man do?
Oh, he showed the ticket?
He showed the ticket. That was Dan's ticket.
Because who else has a physical ticket? Like, obviously, it's Dan's ticket.
He found it on the floor of a slot machine or a craps table. And he said, "Oh, I guess I've got a ticket to the concert." And he shows up, legitimate ticket, goes to his seat. And I look like a jackass because I said to the guy, who actually was quite built and quite strong, and it was sort of a Giannis Haliburton situation. I said, "This is not your seat." And he shows me the ticket, and I had to do tail between the legs and turn around and do a 180.
Oh, you got to call him out. You got to be like, "No, you just found that. These are our 8 seats."
Hold on. I have some follow-up questions. David, you said the tickets were distributed an hour and a half before showtime. Who distributed the paper tickets?
I did.
Well, that's your fault.
Well, why?
Because if it was someone else, I would say, well, they wouldn't know any better. But you knew better, man. You gave Dan a physical ticket. You trusted Dan in that? Really?
It's fair.
No, KYP, know your personnel. Yeah.
Give it to Valerie.
I'm not going to enable that sort of behavior. You've got to be able to hold on to a ticket. And this is, of course, after I'd run into Dan only 45 minutes before that, with $5 chips falling out of his hand because he was the guy who, color change. Oh no, I'm okay here. So
walked away with $100. Well, probably more than $100 worth, but just just arms full of $5 chips.
KYP, man. If I want to give Dan something, I give it to Valerie. I give it to Mike. I give it to anybody else. I don't give it to Dan.
I refuse to take any blame in this. What I know is that I had to share one seat with Kara, and it was fine because we're both relatively small. But you have to picture sharing one seat next to Zaslow, who, by the way, very impressive, knows every word to every song.
So a ruinous experience for David Samson to have to sit next to Zaslow after helping Zaslow and everyone secure these tickets. I have no defense for anything that is in my face other than utter shame because I'm an idiot. And while his girlfriend was looking for the ticket, I was just standing there paralyzed in fear. When he says my eyes were half open, it's because I've ruined my wife's birthday because I'm a toddler who can't be trusted with a paper ticket.
No, hold on, Dan. Were you paralyzed with fear or was there any other substance that was paralyzing?
Okay,
Objection, Your Honor.
I understand. No, that's not even an objection. I understand this idiocy would have to be drugged, but no. It's perfectly sober. It's just
him.
It's just I'm that sloppy on the details. And so let me just cover a few different things here. Do you know how humiliating it is to be standing there and a man produces a ticket I know to be mine, and he has proof that he belongs in that seat, and I do not. And I know that's my ticket.
So it was an aisle seat? Because if the guy claimed the third seat from the end, that's incredible. And he just sat in the middle of all of
Was this an end seat?
No.
This is insane. You guys
So
didn't call this guy
hold on
out.
a second. So he sat in the middle of your group?
No. He sat at the end. He sat at the fringes of our group next to me seething that he had my stolen ticket. But if
That's
I
not stolen.
if I called security, though, the only person who got in illegally was me.
I get that he has that ticket, so he's going to get to stay. But you at least can call him out on the shame of, we know you just found that ticket.
We did that.
Okay.
That was done.
Okay, I just
that
wanna
was
make
done.
sure.
Both me, my wife said it to him, and so did Samson. Samson also said it to him.
David, you have a law degree. I'm sure you're familiar with the Supreme Court case, People versus Maxwell Santos. Finders keepers, losers weepers.
And possession is 9/10 of the law.
That too.
Just looking at
We
this guy,
had zero standing, but I will point out that what did happen during the course of the concert when I had Zaslow in my left ear, I was glaring far more not toward Eddie Vedder. I was glaring at this guy the entire time. Like I was dressing him down.
Some good side eye. Love some good side eye.
Oh, it was some good side eye.
Not only was it good side eye, I will say this on behalf of the side eye. This was a show for all time. And he left about 7 or 8 songs in because of whatever it was
side eye.
our withering stares from the side of our eyes was doing to him.
Maybe he found a better seat.
That's possible. Found some other idiot who lost a better seat.
There was no better seat, I would point out, which we did for Zaslow and for Dan, you and your wife. But he left what I perceived to be in shame because of all the side eyes. But he did get the first hour of a Pearl Jam concert in really good seats. And I'd like to go through what was in his mind upon finding this ticket when all over Hard Rock were people saying, you got one? Anybody got one? You got 2? I got people were trying to buy tickets and there was not one ticket available. And there comes row N, like right perfect, right. It's like manna from heaven. And he says, what do I do with this? And the guy goes to the concert, doesn't sell it, doesn't return the ticket, which of course is what in a dream world you would do, is say, oh, I think somebody dropped this. That didn't quite happen. He just went into the venue.
How do we know he didn't flip the ticket? Maybe the guy that you guys are talking to who's in that seat actually bought it off of someone who scalped it. How are you so sure that it wasn't?
He knows what he did.
I love where your head's at because he left. I thought of that during the show. If he had stayed the whole time and like wanted a selfie with Dan because he happened to buy a ticket that he found himself right next to the biggest celebrity, second biggest behind Chelios, but the one of the biggest celebrities in the crowd, I assume he would have wanted an autograph, maybe a photo.
I mean, David, you remember I was next to you, right?
Yeah.
Give me a player comp on this guy. Who did this guy look like?
He looked like Tony from Survivor 28, the winner of the season.
Not helpful in any way. Go more obscure. Go
he was
more
just
obscure.
on the Traitors.
He looks like my friend Manuel. I think uselessly helpful. Nobody
Tony's
here
a
watches
star,
what
man.
you're talking.
You don't know Tony.
Thank you.
That's fine.
Not you.
That's fine that you guys.
I don't
watch.
think this guy did anything wrong, if I'm going to be perfectly honest with you.
I
found a ticket. He used the ticket.
I'm the guy.
What's he supposed to do? Walk around. Dan Le Batard, did you lose a ticket? Dan?
I'm the guy who did the wrong thing. I'm not blaming him for anything other than he didn't have a story for the ticket when confronted by 2 people. The back and forth was, that's not your ticket. And his response was, yes, it is. And that's all he had.
He's right.
Got your ass,
That's all he had.
Got some Vin Diesel.
Not all he
vibes.
had. He also had the ticket.
Vin Diesel vibes for this guy.
Yes, there was some Vin Diesel to him as well, but that was irrelevant. He got smaller and smaller as the night got on because he was ashamed, because he knew we had turned on our phone lights on his ticket, and that wasn't his ticket. And he knew it wasn't his ticket, and we knew it wasn't his ticket.
And it wasn't just one phone light. What we did is we sort of surrounded him and each of us had our phone lights on it. And then we were looking at the other tickets, making sure that it was numerically in order. It was so obvious that he had done something that he should not have done because he didn't own up to it. I would have respected if he had just said, dude, I found this on the ground. I didn't know it was yours, but now it's mine. He stayed silent, other than to say it's my ticket.
He wasn't expecting to be confronted. That part is true. Again, though, I'm the idiot, and I had to sit next to that. I had to sit next to stewing in my own. in my own shame.
Like staring
and
at
David's wondering why my eyes are half closed. It means accusing me of substances. No, it's my shame has filled up to my nose, and I can no longer keep my eyes open.
I just want to reiterate again, this is all David's fault. You don't hand Dan something. You don't hand Dan something.
You are incapable of accountability. This is Haliburton's. This is security's fault, not Haliburton's dad.
But you're incapable of accountability. You lost the ticket.
It is. I'm saying it's my fault. What kind of accountability? Like, there's nobody's fault here but mine.
No, I mean, there's something happened before you lost it, which is David handed it to you. Clearly, David is the genesis.
Why was David's girlfriend tasked with finding the ticket?
She just ran in a emergency situation and just disappeared. I looked around. Why do you think I was paralyzed with fear? Because my life was coming apart. And I was weak in the knees, and so she sprung into action. And nobody else was moving except for David, who's another springer into action, who immediately rushes in another direction to make sure to get security.
Okay, now here's my question. Let's assume for a second that David's magic with the security wasn't going to happen. Like, hey, no ticket, no entry, case closed. What were you going to do as a group?
Play 2.5 hours of slots by myself.
No, not true. Because we already discussed it, that Kara would not have gone to the concert. It was your moment with your wife for her birthday, that she would have given up her ticket.
I was thinking Zazzlo's kid. I was thinking Zaz's kid doesn't go.
It crossed my mind that I may be the one that's out.
Hold on a second. Dan loses his ticket, and immediately it's like David Samson's girlfriend has to go to find the ticket, and if you don't, you're not going to the concert.
That's the first.
That's crazy.
Hold on. That's the first I'm hearing of that. That was not brought in any way.
It's going to lead to another divorce.
This was not. This is the first I'm hearing of that. That is. I don't know whether that's true or not. That can't be true.
Oh, yeah, no, we had the conversation. Oh, so much happened, Dan, while you were
frozen.
Here. You have to understand what Dan was doing.
Fear. Yes,
there were 7 people staring at him saying, "Where's your ticket?"
That's right. I mean, searching
his wife
pockets
was getting anxious.
And hold on. And searching pockets that had proven to be empty the previous 27 times.
The old third check. The old third check. Let me make sure.
No. Hold on. I want you to see how alone I was in a teeming crowd full of people, giant amounts of people rushing to get in. Also, I was pretty cocky 20 minutes earlier that we would all get there on time. There would be no problem. I had my pockets inside out. They had been rummaged through all of them 27 times by the time I realized his girlfriend had fled the premises, and now it's getting worse because now everyone's panicking because they've realized, Dan's been Dan.
Wait, I have a question. So, David, you naturally would have sat out the concert if your girlfriend didn't go, correct?
No.
Okay.
No. Only one of us had to sit out. It wouldn't have been both of us.
I mean, that is a scavenger hunt that she was on with incredibly high stakes.
That's why she ran. She knew.
I just realized why it is that she ran into action right now, because you'd had that conversation before.
Because it was her ticket that she was looking for the concert.
You have to understand what was happening because time was standing still, because Dan had a lot of pockets. He also was going through his wallet. He still has this old-fashioned wallet with a bunch of different slots in it.
There was a valet card from like 6 weeks ago.
You're checking pockets.
Maybe they'll scan this and let me in.
You're checking pockets you would never put a ticket in. You're like, all right, this is no way it's here, but I'm just going to search it.
I'm looking for pockets I'm unaware that I have on my
looking
pants
for sub-pockets in the pocket. You know, sometimes you get those.
That little coin
did
pocket
it more
in
than
your
once.
jeans?
Not more. No, I did. Look, trust me. I was counting. It was
that little jean pocket.
Listen,
you're like, how to get in
this
there?
is what I'm telling you, okay? The Panthers scored 2 goals, okay? And I was still searching my body long after 11 seconds. Like I felt like an entire third period of hockey feeling my body. It was a long period of time that I felt alone with this. And I was going to go sit and play slots.
And everyone is panicked except my girlfriend, who's out looking for the ticket. I'm making sure that we can get Dan in, because you have to understand the background of this whole Pearl Jam concert. This was a major thing for Valerie's birthday, and it was crumbling in front of our very eyes because Dan lost the ticket, and the show was about to start because we had inside information that at 8:49 is when lights are out and when it starts. And Zaslow wants to be there. Valerie wants to be there. And Dan is
and
standing
Dan's
there
inside out with his pockets in the middle of the Hard Rock. Okay, we've had about enough of this.
And meanwhile, my son is like, what's the holdup here?
Yes, and your son would have been, I think, the one that would have been the loser.
That's what
in
I'm
this
saying.
scenario. Your son would have been playing.
The holdup is you're going to wait here, and we're going to be back in a couple hours.
Yes. I do need to call Zaslow on some fraudulence here real quick because it's being pointed out to me by sources that Zaslow should tell David how it is that he first described David Samson to his son.
Oh, I mean, I think I told David this the other day. My son, a few weeks ago when I started making appearances here with you guys, and look, my son is not impressed with what we do for a living, but
shouldn't be.
But his friends will show him, hey, look, it's your dad. He's on Dan Le Batard Show. And my son's like, all right, who cares? And then they'll show him comments, and my son told me, he's like, hey, everyone's saying really nice things about you from the Le Batard Show. I'm like, don't worry, that'll even out. And then he says, who everyone hates? That Samson guy.
Right. Well, there was something else, though. You also called him the liar who bilked the city for millions.
That's not true.
Find the sound for me. It is.
Find the sound.
Find that sound. I will wait forever.
Okay. No, it's 100% true. It's 100% true. No, I'm going to find it. No, I'm going to find it. Unleash the chickens right now.
Like someone's recording Zazo's private conversations with his son?
I wasn't offended.
I'm told by informed sources that you absolutely described Samson that way on our air. You did that. Everyone heard it. You're taking it back because you're a fraud. I got you, Dan. I'm here for you. You're a fraud like you are with Windhorse. Like you are with Windhorse. Like you are. Like Win Wilbon. You're a fraud. You say things and then aren't accountable. Also be a chicken.
A lot of things I heard there are true, actually.
I love when Dan's alone as a chicken.
I don't love it so much. I got to tell you, it's a little more vulnerable than I would like it to be. It's an unpleasant thing to do alone. I'm going to be honest about that. David Samson, you've been firing everybody. You say the Heat have to clean house, and this is getting – Chris, I don't know how you feel about this. I don't know how the group feels about this. It got loud from one day to the next nationally on Fire Riley.
The national stuff doesn't bother me. Heat fans need to back off, Riley. Yes. You guys are ingrates. Not like you go be a Hornets fan. Wow. All right, look, I'm not saying it's good. It's as bad as it's been in a long time, but I'm going to ride it out with the Godfather as long as he wants to do it. Yeah. And he's earned that, and I love this team. I just hate that Heat fans it's just gross. This guy has given you so much joy, and he gives you 2 seasons in a row that are a little subpar, and you lose it with him. I'm just done with it.
Samson, you've been firing Riley the last couple of days.
Well, I simply, it's not about firing Pat. It's about him understanding that it's time. And it's a tough thing when you've got someone like Pat Riley because he's never going to get fired by Mickey Harris. And we know that is true. But at some point, you have to do a self-evaluation and say that what we're doing simply is not working. And the way we've constructed this roster is not working. And adding a third star to Bam and Hero, that is not going to be enough. And you therefore have to admit it. And I think it's time. And frankly, Spoelstra looked terrible. We talk about the fact that he had acknowledged how embarrassed he was. He just, for whatever issues he's having on or off the court, he looks beaten. And many managers, this happens to them, and coaches, it happens to them. It's a really hard job. The Popoviches are really few and far between. It is time, I believe, for a fresh start in Miami and a fresh set of eyes and ears and voices. And that's not an indictment, Chris Cody, at all. It's been the greatest run you've had, dare I say, in South Florida sports.
It is an
history.
indictment. How can it not be an indictment? How is that not
because
an indictment?
Because all runs come to an end,
okay,
Dan.
But is that not it's an indictment. You're saying they should be fired, taking employment from them. You say their careers should end in the disgrace of you're no longer good enough to work here. What do you mean it's not an indictment?
Because all runs come to an end, and that's just a fact. And for people not to recognize that or realize that, it's like holding on to a 6th grade T-shirt in the top shelf of your closet and singing Glory Days.
David, considering how many times Riley over the 30 years here has been able to remake this team and have success, why would you believe that he can't do it here?
Because I believe that his time has passed, and that's not an ageist thought. It's actually... I don't want to spoil this. I'm not going to be irresponsible and be a journalist in this way. I will only say this, that what owner's job is at the end of the day, it's not to make fans happy. It's not to have great ballparks with great concessions. What an owner's job is to win while the value of their asset increases. That's it. And what Mickey Arison has done is both. But when one stops, which is the winning, the Heat were a 10 seed, a below 500 team. They are overmatched. Forget what you think happened in the Cavaliers series and how pissed off Papi is. They have no path to competitiveness with this current administration and this current team. And as an owner, you've got to recognize
the path is
that.
Get Giannis.
No. Giannis himself will not make a difference for this Heat team.
What?
Who are you going to get? Wait a minute. Are you getting Giannis as a free agent?
Just
or
getting
do you have to
Giannis.
trade
You
assets?
get Giannis, you're an instant contender.
But what do you have to get rid of
what,
to get him?
Milwaukee? Mediocre?
You get Giannis, you're an instant contender.
Mediocre. Not good enough.
I just don't understand. What can a potential new regime apparently do to make this team set on the right path that you believe that this current regime can't do?
I'm going to tell you, Zaz, it's the ability to actually rebuild, which the Heat have never been willing to do. They've never been willing to understand that you may have to take 3 steps back and not be in the middle. Pat Riley would tell you himself, being a 10 seed or a 7 seed it's the worst place to be in any sport.
All right, this is what's happening right now, Samson. I'm sorry, but Jeremy is stomping around in the studio saying he just wants to fire everybody and he doesn't know anything about the sport he's talking about.
I just think that deciding that firing everyone is always the solution has been proven by organization after organization after organization to not be the best thing for organizations. So if you have a front office with a proven track record of creating teams from nothing over and over and over again, the team that they had the year before they acquired Jimmy Butler was pretty terrible. The future was Justice Winslow, Josh Richardson, Derek Jones Jr., and that was it. And they turned that into Jimmy Butler. So I'm not saying that they will do that again in terms of star acquisition, but when you're in a place where you have an all-NBA center and an all-star guard who were both in their 20s, I don't think that you're at this point of total destruction when you have all of these picks laid ahead of you for the very first time in, 2 decades? Like, I think you're in the place that you would want a front office to be to move forward.
And I think your delusion is that you think that Bam and Tyler are the centerpieces of a championship team.
I have no reason to believe that those guys can't be part of a core that goes to and wins championships because they have been part of a core that has gone to multiple championships in the last 5 years alongside another elite player. They need to acquire another elite player. I'm not saying that they don't need to in order for those guys to be able to win a championship. They would say that themselves, that they need another guy to be able to win a championship. But that doesn't mean that those 2 players who have proven who they are, especially Bam Adebayo, can't be a centerpiece of a championship organization.
I mean, David, you want these guys fired when they've been to the finals 2 of the last 5 years. Only one other team has done that, and that's the Celtics.
I'm trying to think of the NBA coaches who have won championships who don't have jobs now. What's that stat, Jeremy? I believe that every NBA coach of a champion in the last 4 years, I think one still has the job.
I think it's I may have it wrong. Maybe I think it's 5 out of 6.
Most of them have been fired within 3 years, like 3 of the last 5 or something like that, 4 of the last 5.
And that's after winning. The Heat.
But you're holding that up like that should be the standard. Oh, we should do that. Let's try to fire.
That's organizations failing. That's not the standard that you want. You want consistency. An organizational reputation has to be part of that, no?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things, David, like they said, you're bringing that up as something supporting your argument. You're actually supporting Jeremy's argument that like all these teams are just chickens chasing their tails without their heads cut off, and the reality is,
have a tail?
Yeah, chickens have a tail.
Chasing it without the head or with the head?
Chicken
there
time.
it is.
Go ahead, Dan. No one asked me. No, Malone again.
But yeah, the point is there is a value to organizational stability, and when you know that the people doing the job are not they're not bad at their job, right? We know that Pat Riley is good at his job.
They know how to do this.
We know Eric Spoelstra is great at his job, one of the greatest ever. Why are we going to say, well, someone's got to go? That's just such a reactionary kind of way. To me, that's kind of where the Phoenix Suns are, where it's just like, oh, it didn't work. Everyone, you get out of here and trade some more people. And all that kind of panicky is why it's not what it should be.
I don't think that anyone would say if the Heat move on from one or two of Bam, Tyler, Pat, or Eric that they're being panicky. I just don't think that would be the narrative surrounding those moves.
I would say, this is what I would say. The players is a different story. Because players, you could say this player is great and he's done a lot of things for us, but the only way for us to get better is for us to acquire someone else. So in the case of Bam and Tyler or Tyler, if Giannis is on the table, like you can't be like, oh, but I like Tyler. You got to go because Giannis is something special, something elite, something rare, right? But when you talk about the personnel who are making decisions, I totally don't believe in just, well, it's not working, so it's your fault. That doesn't make sense to me, and I think a lot of teams find themselves in a lot more hot water doing that than the teams that succeed because they made
Samson, how is it not panicky to run out Riley and trade Tyler Hero? Like, you're running Riley out of the organization against his will as the punctuation on his career.
Oh, I'm not. I wouldn't say it's against his will, and that's why I wouldn't say that it would be a firing, Dan. What I said is it's an acknowledgement by the Heat, which are defined as Mickey and Pat and Nick, that it is time to go a different direction with a different voice, and I think that that is what they do. And by the way, Bam Adebayo, if you look at his salary, Jeremy, I believe he has 3 years left, and it goes like 50, 51, 59 in the last 3 years of his deal. I hear that you're saying he's all NBA, and I understand there are a lot of overpaid players, but do you have him as that type of player?
I mean, the question is for you. 3 years, $150 million on Hero, 4 years, $210 million.
I mean, to me, I lock up Tyler Hero long term when I feel like the value is going to be delivering, meaning where's the salary cap going? What are the deals that are getting signed for guys that are kind of his comps? Can I get value on that? If not, I don't see a need to commit super long term because I want to remain flexible.
But David was also suggesting that Bam Adebayo's contract is not worth it now at $50 million.
No, Bam is absolutely worth it. There's a market for Bam. The reason you don't trade Bam is not because no one wants to give up anything for him. It's because whatever you get back has to be good enough to continue or propagate the organization.
The only way you do that is for something like Giannis.
So yeah,
that's
it. So if Giannis comes available, there's no part of me that says, well not Bam. No, Bam's got to go if that's what gets it done because he is of that level. But
who is that voice when you do that? Like, who is the impersonation?
That's the emotional person. I'm like, but I like my favorite player. I don't want to give him up. Okay. Why is he got to go? Can't we get Giannis and not give up Tyler and Bam?
It's Jeremy.
It's a good question, Zaz. It is.
I'm just making sure.
Where are you as the Heat, though, if you replace Giannis with Bam? You replace Bam with Giannis. You're incremental between
better.
Bam and Giannis.
No, you're better.
Infinitesimally better.
You're better.
Right.
Well, infinitesimal. That's small.
Infinitely
that's
better.
small. You did that wrong.
Dan, don't worry about that. He's cooking. Let him do it.
Infinitely better. I'm going to tell you why, David. Because there's two things. Number one is the simple one that we all recognize. Giannis is 1 billion times better than Bam. 1 billion times better, right? And that's not a knock on Bam. That is respect to one of the great. It's not a knock.
Feels a little.
It's not a knock.
1 billion times.
1 billion times. Dan, would you call Shaq a wealthy individual? Would you call Shaq?
Yes.
Okay. Is Bill Gates not 1 billion times richer than Shaq?
Yeah, but that's
not actual. 1 billion times. No.
Wow. What?
Like you could have said twice as good as Bam. You went 1 billion.
He's 1 billion times better. Right. He's 1 billion times better. And it's not a knock on Bam.
It is a knock on Bam.
Jeremy called Giannis the second best power forward ever before the show today.
Well, that's wrong.
Yeah, he might be. No.
So let's not get sidetracked. Okay, so once we start with that, all right, automatically you're better just because you have first of all, you have a player that commands the respect of the opponents at all times in a way that right now the Heat don't, right? Number two, though, and I know where David's going to go, is like, well, if he's so great, why is Milwaukee where they are? That's a great question. But the answer there is because Milwaukee's front office and Milwaukee's coaching is not as good as Miami's. Miami can find the supporting cast people. This is what I always
like to say. You see those guys on the floor with Giannis last night?
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you right now, David, there's I used to always say this. The easy part is the hard part, and the hard part is the easy part. The easy part is identifying the stars. He's great. Giannis is great. Okay, we can all see that. But the hard part is there's only like 3 or 4 of those guys. How do you get them? It's so rare. Then the hard part is the easy part, which is,
wait, is
the hard part's the easy part?
What?
Yeah. Easy is hard.
Hard
is
easy.
Yeah,
right?
guys.
So,
Come on.
so the
He's
flip
cooking.
side, the flip side of that is, right, where you say, well, we just got to get the right supporting cast. Well, that should be easy, right? There are millions of these guys everywhere. All these run-of-the-mill basketball players who end up getting mid-level deals and all that. There's so much more of them than there are of the Giannis's, right? Yes, you're right. It's easy. They're everywhere, but it's not because you actually have to do the work to identify, to develop, to give them chances in the right moments, to give them in the right situations, and then you get the right supporting cast. Miami is incredible at that.
They did it around Jimmy Butler, and while he's not billions times better than Jimmy Butler, he's also a good deal better than Jimmy Butler.
And Dan, they've done it throughout the history of this organization. Ike Austin, Vashawn Leonard, right?
All right.
These are guys.
Billy is so done with all of us.
I'm
right
just saying,
now.
like,
Billy is so done with everyone here. He's
No,
in his
just-
phone. Don't
no.
say no.
Well, because Jordan Hudson apparently, according to The Athletic, was to blame for Hard Knocks falling apart at North Carolina.
Billy had no interest in you guys talking about Pat Riley and all the players he's going to get.
No,
next
I got
season.
it. Pat Riley's the greatest of all time. He's never going to leave his job. We got it.
No,
And
but
the Heat are just always
got
going to
it.
be a 7
and,
seed.
and the Heat are always going to get Giannis. You're already doing that after what happened Sunday.
Well, they are going to get.
That's the hard part. The easy part is saying Giannis is great. The hard part is getting him.
And the easy part is the hard part. The hard part's the easy part, Dan. Come on. I got it. I'm here.
I do think there's an intriguing conversation to be had around what it requires to get Giannis if he is available. Because
Oh, sorry. Okay. David, good talking to you. Zaslo's confused by that. That was Chris Cody tasing Jeremy because he talks too much. Zaslo was legitimately confused. He's like, Zaslo thought an electrical current actually ran through our headsets and that there might have been shocking of some sort.
I thought it was a fart.
What it?
Fart bear.
And then Dan said, I'm sorry. I thought someone farted too, honestly. I was confused.
We had so much to cover, Dan.
I wanted to talk about what's happening with Amazon and the tariffs. Can you give us a quick minute on that? I know it's not a quick, easy minute on that.
Say no.
Go ahead. You can say
Give me
no.
your best 60 seconds on what's going on
or
in
90,
the world.
If you want 90, you got 3 minutes left for that in your review, so you choose.
Let me just try to get through this. And there is a real problem with what's happening in the tariffs, not just in the economy. What's happening is the companies are trying to figure out they're going to pass on the increased expenses to the customer. We are all going to suffer because of the tariffs. The question is, how do you quantify it? Amazon said, we have an idea. We're going to put the amount of money that these tariffs are increasing the cost of your product, and we're going to put it right there on the page. The White House got word of this and they lost their minds. There was a quick phone call and a quick meeting which said, hey, Jeff, here's an idea. You may want to cancel this plan because we're going to crush you because we've lost the 3 legs of the tripod. And as the executive branch, we're now in a position where we can make your life miserable. You want tax on the rich? We're going to do it. Then Amazon, 20 minutes later, second statement, hey, that was a division of Amazon. No idea what anyone was talking about. We're not going to identify what the tariffs are doing and the impact they're having on the prices of the products. It was a faster retreat than you saw in the 1700s. And what does it mean? It means that we are now in a place where there is fear that is ruling individuals, corporations, and those who run the corporations, and it will cost us. Make no mistake, the companies that you do business with will not take on the cost of these tariffs by themselves.
It's maddening.
They will pass it
is
to you.
maddening, though, David, to see these people fight where power resides, and the government has more power than the billionaire of the billionaires, and what ends up happening is we all pay for it. It's really infuriating.
It's guaranteed to happen, and you're watching it happen right now. I have an Amazon package waiting for me, and I'm just seeing how expensive the toilet paper is.
As Bezos and Musk and Trump just fight over the money.
You Amazon toilet paper?
Yes, in bulk.
Jeff, I got bad news.
What are you reviewing? What are you reviewing this week?
I had Meadowlark people, Dan, at the apartment where I'm doing show right now, and they were doing the lights, and they said, listen, is there anything you can do about the brown boxes of tissues, toilet paper, Clorox wipes, and paper towels that were in the way of the lights flashing properly off the walls? And I said, hey, it's a New York apartment. There's nothing I can do about it. And they said, and these are great IT people, they said, why do you have so much stuff? Like, are you worried about the apocalypse? And I said, no, I've always been a bulk guy. I can't deal with the people. There's 2 types of people, those who run out of toilet paper and those who don't. And I am one who never runs out of toilet paper.
No time for your review. And so that toilet paper is the end of this segment. That is you being wiped from the premises.
Just out of curiosity, what does bulk mean? Like, what are we talking about? How many rolls?
At least 200.
Oh, my God.
That's
multiple big brown boxes of toilet
You
paper.
are afraid of running out of toilet paper.
I have that with soap. I have it with everything.
No, but
It is a
that's
weird.
but that's apocalypse.
Your body, you would die.
That's
you would die
apocalypse
before you
hoarding.
needed to go through 200 rolls of toilet
That's
paper.
apocalypse hoarding.
I am a hoarder of products having nothing to do with the pandemic. This was I never panicked during the pandemic because I always have supplies ready to roll.
When do you redo? Like how low on your 200 before you reorder?
It's a rotate, and when there's a hole in where I store stuff, I refill from the back.
That's why there were shortages during the pandemic.
I mean, he's the worst.
It's him.
He's the worst.
It was all him.
It was just him. It was just him.
It's not just me.
Zaslow is totally fitting in around here in that I asked him to have prepared for this segment the second of the shirts from his closet, and he has forgotten. He doesn't have the shirt on him.
I absolutely do.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I do. It's hidden. It's well hidden.
Now
from
I'm
me.
not fitting in because I'm doing my job.
Okay. Well, you have it somewhere on you. I just see two shirts discarded behind
Now
you.
he's pointing to his crotch region.
My bad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Do you think he lost it between when he got here and now?
Like a ticket? I was accusing him of something that I am capable of doing. There are a number of things worth talking about right now because I want a means assessment on what we're going to do. What happened?
Oh my God, we're watching Chinema right now. Absolute Chinema on General Hospital.
Stephen A.
Stephen A. Hitman just shot somebody in a hospital bed.
Brick's back?
With the silencer.
What do you want to talk about, Dan?
The show we're doing live?
Guarantee you that the show we're doing live is not as good as that one.
Yeah, I wish we did that one at Meadowlark. I wish that one was on air instead of in private. I wish that's what we were paying you guys for.
He shot a dude in a hospital bed and shot the nurse too. Oh my God. With a silencer. And then made the phone call.
How do you know he has the silencer? It's on mute.
Oh, wow. Because look at the gun. Look at the gun.
Oh, wow, you can see the silencer. I stand corrected.
In Stephen A.'s defense, the nurse pulled a gun on him first.
What you say?
Brick's defense. Yeah. So Zazzlo's second shirt?
No, I was about to talk about Jamal Murray, but thank you for ever being helpful, Wild Willie Wednesday, to try and get me back.
I haven't derailed anything today.
No,
I've been your
You've divorced. You started
subject.
by divorcing my parents, Billy.
I didn't.
That was
divorce
the
your
opening
parents.
bidding
Falsehoods.
you did.
No, that's not what I said.
what happened.
I
That's
said
how it happened.
I said if you're caught in the middle of a lover's quarrel and the lover's quarrel is your family and the Heat, then what do you do? Because the Heat will be responsible possibly for your parents' divorce.
This is the problem that I generally have. It's that I believe there is basketball worth talking about from last night that I'd like to talk about, and not just Giannis leaving, because I do want to assess the legacy of Jamal Murray, who is not somebody who often scores 40 points a game, except when you really need it in the playoffs. And out of nowhere, last night he's reminding Kawhi Leonard and James Harden of some things that I was caught off guard by, even though I've seen this person be this kind of good in the playoffs, but I get forgetful. And so I want to do some legacy talk on Jamal Murray, and I also want to get to Jeremy meeting Shakira, and Jeremy wants to talk about the rehearsal, but the problem I have is that Billy needed gas yesterday and didn't have his wallet.
No, that was this morning. That's why I was a little tardy for the party. As I left the house, I stopped at the gas station, and I didn't have my wallet. So I had to head back home to go get the wallet and then go back to it was Westchester. Come on, what do you think that these are like fancy gas pumps?
No, I've seen them with the Apple Pay stuff in Westchester.
No, I don't know. Apple Pay, not for me. Apple Pay is fine when it has my like things saved and I can, order my McDonald's. I hit Apple Pay, whatever. When I have to go start and like tap first of all, last thing I'm gonna tap with my phone is a dirty gas pump. Okay,
You're more of an inserter.
Just
touch
just
a
hover
dirty gas pump with my phone that then is going to go and lay on my face. Like that's not going to happen. And this whole tapping situation, I love technology. I love the advancements of technology. Zaz, I feel like you might be with me on some of this stuff. At a certain point, we've advanced far enough. Like we're going too far on some of these things. When I just am close enough to something and it takes money out of my account, and I didn't have to do anything other than my device was close enough to the device that steals the digital money for me.
Why do I look like someone who doesn't appreciate convenience?
No, you're on. Come on, you have an 80-year-old shirt in your hand. You have two old shirts on your lap. Like are you not with me on this?
Doing my job.
You're not with me on this? You like the idea of someone just going up to you and tapping your phone and then you lose money?
Yeah, I'm good with it, man. I'm not losing money. I'm using money.
No, you're losing it. Here's the thing. Unless you're there watching all the time, I'm telling you, someone's going up there. Have you seen these scams? Like on the parking thing?
That does worry me a little bit.
Okay, welcome to the party, friends. Go on.
All right, but I don't have cash on me, so there's nothing I could do about it.
What do you mean?
I have to hope that there's not like a scam going on.
No, there's always a scam going. That's the thing. There's always a scam going.
A little bit.
Haven't you seen like the parking things? They had to take the QR codes off of the parking signs here because people were putting their own fake QR codes on the parking signs where you'd go on the QR code, and they had a fake website, and you just give them $5, $8, whatever it is, and they'd have your credit card information. You didn't actually pay for parking.
I got to be honest.
You paid a stranger.
I got to be honest. I think you're a little too involved.
What do you mean?
Like there's so many things. Like you're worried about too many things.
What do you mean? How so?
That's what I mean. I just said what I mean.
I'm not. What do you mean?
That's what I mean.
What am I too worried about? What should I be worried about?
There's all these things going on with you. You don't want to do this. You don't want to do this. You're too involved.
Nah, dog. I'm telling you, this is what happens. People come after me. They come after me, and like I need to know. I can't trust no one. There's one person I can trust. It's me. You know. So if someone's saying, especially a stranger, trust me on this, no, thank you. I've been burned too many times. I know not to trust anyone around here. Can only trust me, and even me, I'm a slippery one. Dog.
You did hit him with a dog because you're not used to somebody coming at you as aggressively as Zaz did.
No, because he says dog, so I was trying to get him on my side.
I like the tension you two have.
We don't
over
have
the last
tension.
Couple of days.
I feel like we're close. Are we not close?
I feel like we're getting to know each other.
Yeah, we're close. Getting to know each other.
I'm all right with this right now. I'm all right with it. Yeah.
I mean, I started interning 20 years ago when you were there, but if we're just getting to know each other, that's fine. I'm not going to rush this relationship. It's at your pace, I suppose.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is there always a scam going on? And also, I'm going to tell you that I spent that entire Michael Jackson show at the Arts Center the other day with my wife in my ears saying that guy you just paid because he had an orange security vest, that is not somebody who works in parking. Like, that's a guy who now might have the keys to our car, and that is not a valet. That's somebody who just you trusted because that person was wearing an orange vest, and that orange vest he could have gotten from a construction site. It was dark out there. That was not a parking situation. You just gave somebody $20 to park nearby. That was not. You're going to either get towed or the car is going to get stolen.
Something about us people, we love people in uniform. Somebody's got a vest on, somebody's got a hat on that says something. You're in charge, buddy. What do you want me to do? You want me to pull the car around? Sure. And he's like, I just found this in the Goodwill. I don't care.
I feel like that's like the old school Miami Arena days where you gave a guy $5 to watch your car during the
Stugotz came out one time and there were two crackheads smoking crack in both front seats of his car when he came out from the Miami Arena.
I parked in someone's carport the other day at a Marlins game because I was going to park. And I looked at the curb, like, you're going to have to go up this little ramp, and the ramp was 4 little blocks of wood that they put in front of the curb, and I was like, you want me to back in here? Because, like, my car's a little low to the ground. I don't want to lose my bumper parking in your front yard. Like, I'm paying you $10 instead of $30 at the garage, but, like, I don't want to lose my bumper here.
This is the only place in South Florida that we have the spirit of the Orange Bowl still around the parking situation, where it's no blocky, no parky. It's just you're parking in someone's driveway.
It is parky. No blocky. Yeah.
Well, sometimes there is blocky, and you got to leave your keys. And those are the houses I say, I'm good, thanks. I'm gonna go find another house.
I've never experienced that.
Yeah. Sometimes they ask you, like, you can leave your keys, and then we'll move the car. And I'm like, I'm okay.
Just trust them.
You know where they live.
I know where they are pretending to live. I don't know that they actually live there. I haven't seen them go in and out of the house, and I don't know that my car will be there when I get back. I've been in situations where I go and I park, and I come back and the house is a different color. And I just assume someone left their keys there, true. and that car is gone. It's happened.
That's not true. No, you guys should not laugh with him.
He's right about that. He's right about that, though, Dan.
No. Listen to me. I'm all for your yes and.
No,
the
Dan,
moment he says he went in. No,
Dan. When we were at the Super Bowl just this past year, we went in, and it was clear glass windows. We came out the next day, or when we went out, clear glass windows. When we came back, that whole thing was wrapped, and it looked like a giant beer can. Didn't even look like the hotel anymore. That's how quickly they can change appearances now. That's why you can't trust people in things.
And
not even buildings.
You're too involved.
No. You're too loosey-goosey, if I'm going to be honest with you. Oh, Joe Cool's ass over here, just walking around, trusting the world. Must be nice. Must be nice to walk around here and just trust everyone and everything. How's this change colors?
Okay, look. I'm gonna attack you on two fronts here, and I'm only okay with about 74% of Wild Willie Wednesday so far. My father, earlier in the show, with journalistic responsibilities, reported that Mickey Harrison left the arena on Sunday wearing a wig, sunglasses, and a mustache because he was so embarrassed by the Heat performance.
A Hall of Famer.
And now you have said on air, and you were supported by these two, Tony and Amin, saying, yes, this is delightful to be next to you, as you claimed as truth, that you went to a game, parked your car,
at a house.
And as you were at the game, the front of the house was repainted a different color.
I don't know how they did it.
You could smell the paint.
I didn't say I smelled the paint.
I don't believe your story.
I didn't say that I smelled the paint. I didn't say it was painted.
I smelled the bull.
I left. I came back. Different color.
That's not
And
true.
I didn't leave my car. I didn't leave my keys at the house that day. I said, you know what? If it gets blocked, I'll deal with it when I get back. I'm not leaving my keys here. And I'm glad I didn't, because guess what? When I left, I could go right out. A car was there that was moved.
You're claiming
Different
that a scam was so involved that people painted their house to steal your car filled with your trinkets of Marlin stuff from 1990.
I don't know how or why they were trying to do what or how they were doing.
Okay.
I'm just saying I didn't get got, and it's because I was vigilant.
I got because that story didn't happen.
What do you mean?
Nobody painted their house to steal your car.
I didn't say they painted the house. I said it was one color when I was there,
No, you did say
different color when I got back. I don't know what happened. Games are long, 3 hours. They were shorter last year. This year they seem to be getting long again, if we're going to be honest with you. Baseball was fixed, and I don't know what they did, but someone was tinkering with something where the length of these games is getting long again.
How did you feel about your Cy Young winner starting to allow 15 runs to the Dodgers last night?
Not surprised at all. I told you guys just yesterday, and no one wanted to listen to me, and everyone started scoffing at me when I told you. Dodgers aren't fun to watch. They score 15 runs every day. What happened last night? 15-2. They beat the Marlins. Guess who didn't stay up until 1 in the morning to watch that? Me. I knew exactly what was going to happen, and I told you. And then Jeremy and all these mouthpieces out here telling, no, it's not going to happen. That's not the situation here. That's not going to happen. I'm happily married. That's not going to. The Dodgers they're not that exciting. They're not going to score that many runs. And sure enough, same night, 15 runs. Kike Hernandez is on in the last inning, pitching with a pitcher's helmet. What is this? Youth League softball? Pitcher's helmet?
Games are lasting 1 minute longer this year than last year.
Told you. See? I was right. Thank you.
You were also right earlier in the show when you were talking about breaking Belichick news as Hard Knocks falls apart, because we now see that there's going to be a really interesting tension of what happens when your coach is 50 years older than his girlfriend and you keep taking whatever the publicity judgments are on, hey, coach, your relationship is something that has a lot of people curious, so much so that CBS Sunday Morning has aired an interview that will now make Belichick even more gun-shy about interviews than he ever was, because he never made these mistakes when he was coach of the Patriots, where you get into the bad optics of anything. And it is a little startling to see his relationship be the thing that has become the curiosity. This newsman on CBS Sunday Morning, though, was so maximum television newsman that I was getting distracted and annoyed by how cheesy his broadcaster voice questions were. And you tell me, Zaslow, if you can hear the cheesy broadcastery gotcha of Belichick, you're cornered here. You've got a relationship with a woman who's 50 years younger than you, and I'm a professional broadcaster who's here to trap you in a corner. Is that your little lady over there in the corner? I'm going to trap the both of you.
You're probably thinking the same thing I was when I sat down with Bill Belichick. The now 73-year-old former NFL coach wasn't interested in gloating about his many achievements. Football is everything for Belichick.
You're reading. That's cheating. And you trap the old man.
When young Billy went looking for a coaching job of his own, though, Dad had some advice. The result is not a tell-all, but what you might call a tell-some.
Nobody talks that way.
Jeremy does.
Jeremy was just whispering to me, is that how you hear me? And I'm like, yes. He's like, is that why you hate me? I was silent after that.
The other change for Belichick is 24-year-old Jordan Hudson, his creative muse.
Oh, come on. Wait a minute. That was not objective journalism there. Those last 3 words, that was not objective.
His creative muse.
I hear your skepticism.
His creative muse.
There was a question mark in there.
His creative muse.
You did that so many times. You read that so many times.
He's like, let me do that one again. No, one more.
Let me do it.
Creative muse.
There's like a real condescension dripping off of that part.
His creative muse.
Like he did it a couple of takes and it sounded too enthusiastic. Said, no, more condescension.
His creative muse.
Wink, wink, audience. I'm with you. She's too young, right?
His creative muse.
I don't think that sounds like me at all.
When I talked to you about the 2 things from last night, because I don't want to do transaction Giannis anymore. I want to do both.
Transaction Durant.
No, I want to do Jamal Murray, and I also want to do the Knicks had a chance at their first closeout game for their home fans since 1999.
That's crazy.
The Knicks have not, their fans have not been able to watch a closeout playoff series game this century, and Detroit goes in there last night, and at the end, Brunson is hurt, and Hart is hurt, and you know that fan base is waiting to turn on that team.
It's like last year all over again. It's like, yeah, they should win this series easily. And then you mess around, you don't quite win one, and then now we're in a position where there's going to be a game 6. And Hart and Brunson being hurt is not good, right? You say if Brunson's hurt, you're like, well, that's a clutch score or whatever. But Karl Anthony Towns has played reasonably well in this series. If Hart's hurt, you're like, that's the heart and soul right there.
But I mean the thing that happened in the last 5 minutes of, oh wait, calamity can be around the corner here is Brunson is far and away the most clutch of clutchy in the fourth quarter when his team needs winning. That's empirical. That he has done more scoring than Jokic in the fourth quarter, and Jokic has played a bunch more playoff games than Brunson. He scores like crazy in the fourth quarter, and him being out is a problem for them because they're waiting to mistrust Cat. They're waiting.
I would say this. It is problematic. I wouldn't say it's a problem. I think him and Hart being out, that's a problem, right? That's a problem. Hart presents so many matchup problems because he plays like a big, but he's a guard. He brings the ball up. He can shoot threes, whatever. So him being kind of like this jack of all trades thing really is something that fuels the Knicks. And then he's so scrappy. He is really an energy source for that team. The two of them, for basically your offensive leader and your defensive leader, to both be compromised, that's an issue. The other thing is Detroit, young team, confidence is swelling now, right? This is the game that we said they couldn't win because they're young and they haven't been there before. But down the stretch, Cade Cunningham makes all the great plays, including that pass. You see that pass?
Oh, he's pretty good.
Dude, it was incredible. And there's a point where you see, oh no, they're not scared at all. Duran it was active on the glass. Very Johnny on the spot with all the finishes around the basket. And then you got the vets like Beasley and Harris. They're going to make timely shots. Detroit is in a position now where it's like, I think we can win this series.
Well, and you know, we just said that the Knicks haven't closed out a series at home since 1999. The Detroit Pistons have not won a home playoff game since 2008, all right? But I'm not surprised that Detroit won that game last night. I am surprised that they won that game that was that close with 4 or 5 minutes left, and they made all the plays down the stretch. I mean, Cunningham, who struggled for the most part, had 13 points in the final 8 minutes of the game, and they're getting all the stops, and they're making all the big plays. It was like a super grown-up moment for that team.
Zaz, that's the game we said they couldn't win. Yeah. Like that kind of game. We didn't say they couldn't win games. We said, like those close games. That scenario. Yeah. That's the one where they couldn't win. And it's funny because Cunningham the other night, remember, had the shot he wanted and missed it, and they lose that game with the Tim Hardaway foul, no foul, whatever. Watching him come back and almost like process that and say, okay, the same thing's not going to happen again. That was amazing.
To Amin's point, though, Hart and Brunson left the game, and while I can give Detroit credit for it, that's where it happened. Like, as soon as they limped off the court, I was waiting for Thibodeau to call the timeout or get the stoppage to get the both of them back in the game, because that's where it spread and that's where it lost. But when you guys mentioned Cade Cunningham, okay, I don't know, did he get to 50 in MSG when they won early during the regular season at MSG, and he won the game late? Cade Cunningham is very interested in being a star, and this is exactly how you do it. This is the team you do it against, and he already did it once this season in Madison Square Garden, where he really liked the idea of doing it in Madison Square Garden. If you take this series from the Knicks and you break New York's heart and you do it in a Game 7, and you do it in a Game 7 in New York when they can't close out a series this century there, Cade Cunningham will on the spot become someone who joins a conversation that is where all of these good players are. With one series, he will do it. He will enter the stardom that he wishes to have.
So he had a 36-point game during the regular season. But, Dan, this is why I call the playoffs an infomercial. It's the greatest infomercial of them all, because there are people who do it night in, night out, and literally the basketball-watching public doesn't know because they don't watch Detroit, or because when they watch Detroit, nothing happened or whatever. And then you get on the stage, and this is where you announce yourself. It's the same thing that happened to Tyrese Haliburton last year. He did it a little bit in the in-season tournament, and then by the time he got to the playoffs, that's where it got solidified against the Knicks, and then in the conference finals against the Celtics. This is when you do Anthony Edwards 4 or 5 years ago, right? When we were like the Wolves are just a bunch of screw-ups, and Anthony Edwards was like, oh, no, I can take control. That's where these people ascend. And so he's doing that ascension right now. I don't even think he needs to win the series. At this point, I think he's put himself on the map. I'm one of those guys. I heard Kendrick Perkins talk about this. Say, if I'm Giannis, I would want to go to Detroit and play with Cade Cunningham. And, I don't think that's going to happen. But I think that says volumes that now Cade Cunningham is a guy mentioned that people want to go play with. This is how it starts.
I was skeptical at the beginning of the Cade Cunningham experience because I had seen a lot of players with high usage rates get viewed better than they are. Bridges is suffering from this right now in New York. God almighty, the Knicks fan hates Bridges. He's getting all of it. And I keep saying to my friends who are Knicks fans, do you guys understand how hard it is to be the third of the usage rates in that sport? Bosh and Love were able to do it, and Drew Holiday can do it, but it's what are you shaking your hands about?
To be fair, Bosh and Love walked in the door, top 5 picks, here's your franchise, win, everything is going through you, you're scoring the points, you're being all-stars, you're being all these accolades, and then they had to go be the third of the usage rates. Mikal Bridges was a middle-of-the-first-round pick who was a really good role player with Phoenix and then got traded to a Brooklyn team for Kevin Durant, so they didn't have anything. So then it's like, okay, Mikal Bridges, we'll give you a taste of the limelight. And he was great that half season, and then the next season we realized, oh yeah, he's not really suited to be a high usage player. If anything, this is a return to what should be a familiar environment for him, being just a guy. I'm great.
He doesn't want to be it anymore, though.
I don't know. I don't know if he can be the other one though.
Do you think of what the Knicks could have? They gave up 5 unprotected for Mikal Bridges. What could they have gotten for that?
But I mean, when you give that much up for him, you announce on the spot, we think of you that way.
Dan, this is the point that I made at the time, because everyone was like, well, it's the power of friendship. Oh, they're going to all the buddies from Villanova play together.
Who would do that?
The reality is this ecosystem, this trade marketplace, it has meaning and it has value. And so when you send, even if he's this hidden gem that no one is picking up on, no one else would ever give up 5 first-round picks. But let's just assume the Knicks had the foresight. They're like, no, actually, he might be the best player in the league, and you guys just don't know it yet. His market value was not that. You don't overpay on that because, A, what if you're wrong? But B, it reduces your ability to do other things. The reason why the Knicks can't improve their roster anymore now is because they don't have picks. You don't think with the Giannis issue right now, they would have loved to have some of those first-round picks back?
Well, the thing about Leon Rose and the Knicks architecture that I find fascinating right now as they reach, I believe, a real pressure point. I mean, they built something that now has expectations when they haven't closed out a home playoff game for their customers this century. And when you give that fan base 2 years allowed, it comes with expectations that if it loses in the first round to the Detroit Pistons, the level of anger that I'm already hearing from the New York fan toward Thibodeau, toward everybody who's not Brunson. Everybody who's not Brunson and Hart is getting crushed because the expectations on this team are higher than they've been in a century.
The first guy on the chopping block is the Butcher, unfortunately. That he's the one. If it goes down, the first person who's getting blamed, and by blamed I mean
it's
losing
already
the job.
happening though. I'm hearing and watching. I'm soaking in these Knicks broadcasts as they're happening, and they're just yelling at Thibodeau with an anger that suggests they don't think he can do this job. And I'm like, I kind of trust that coach.
Dan, this is what we were talking about with David, right? It's like, does the guy do a good job or not, right? And then if things don't go the way we expect it to, the way we plan it to, the way we want it to, are we assigning appropriate blame? Meaning, are we losing because Tom Thibodeau is making strategic decisions that are putting us in a bad spot? Now, some would argue, hey, overplaying your guys during the regular season, that is a strategic decision. Yeah. Jalen Brunson's ankle rolling, despite not stepping on anyone's foot or just him moving, right? Part of that is because it's an ankle that's been injured before. And when you roll your ankle, you are infinitely more susceptible to further injury to it unless it heals, you get the proper rest. But we know it didn't get the proper rest. Now, I would argue that wasn't Tibbs' fault. That's the 65-game rule's fault, right? Because if we didn't have the 65-game rule, he wouldn't have to rush back in order to play those games to make sure that he qualified. But neither here nor there. The reality is, if the Knicks lose in the first round, I don't think Tom Thibodeau survives. It's a shame. Wow. It's the same thing that happened to Michael Malone. It's the same thing that happened to Taylor Jenkins. These are guys who have done phenomenal jobs, all of them in cities where they had struggled, right? These guys came in and said, I know you're looking at decades of being awful. I will fix it. I will reverse it. I will change the culture here. They all did that, and the thanks that they got was get the hell out of here.
I mean, they've been a nothing franchise for decades, and now year after year after year with Thibodeau as the coach, they're in the mix. And, like, they can get rid of him if they don't win the series?
But you have to understand the way this was built for loud New York fan is we're going to break up this team that you love, and we're going to give you a threesome, and Bridges is going to be part of it, to challenge the Celtics. We're going to make trades that are win right now. We think we can beat the Celtics right now. That's an architectural flaw because you're not as good as they are, and you're not as good as Cleveland. And you can count on Mitchell Robinson's hands the way you once counted on Nerlens Noel's, and he will clean up around the basket, but you're not as good as those teams. And the season's going to end in failure. But if it ends in failure in the first round,
being up 3-1,
in Game 7 at home,
obviously we're putting the cart before the horse. There still has to be a Game 6.
Oh, I'm just saying that's what the pressure is now on a hurt franchise that limps into these games with a fan base that's waiting to question them.
That's not the worst part. The worst part is, let's assume they get out of this series, right, alive. The Celtics are done. They're resting. Drew Holiday's resting that hamstring. Jaylen Brown's resting that quad. Those guys are waiting, and they already know, we kick your ass every time we play. Now you're going to give us like 3-4 days of just chilling and watching you play and struggle. And, they don't like it when this happens. This is what happens. We get the ball out of Brunson over here. We trap him over here. Like, they're just game planning and getting smarter every single day while you're over here trying to struggle to survive.
Is there any more General Hospital? Stephen A. Smith, he's reporting on First Take right now that the NBA should punish Tyrese Haliburton's father for the altercation with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Quote, I think that this should go down as one of the most embarrassing moments of his life. He should be ashamed of himself.
The father?
Wait, Giannis?
Or Giannis,
The father.
I don't know. I didn't think it was embarrassing for him.
Stood on business, according
to Tony.
Zaz, you know Tyrese Haliburton is who his cousin is?
No.
Eddie Jones.
How about that?
Okay.
Got an Eddie Jones shirt there somewhere hidden? Or?
Do you want to see my shirt?
I do want to see your shirt. This is the second shirt from the Zaslow Mansion, the shirt that his wife would like him to throw out. I asked Jonathan Zaslow to bring the 3 of his shirts from the closet that would show his wife's disapproval the most. The second shirt is...
I remember that one.
A Chris Bosh retirement jersey from 2019, retirement shirt. You remember that one. You predicted what was the one you predicted would make
white W. I don't think we're going to have the white W, but a white W would be great.
I got to say, I'm really disappointed. Zaz, you brought us 2 out of the 3 shirts so far are post Big 3.
Thank you.
Post,
I don't want to say
post Hassan Whiteside, really, is what I'm talking about.
I told you, though, like, we've given so many to Goodwill over the years, man.
You are disappointing so far, so I think
the way you're selling it is that these are like super old and ratty, and they show how much of a lifelong fan Zaz is, and we're going back all the way back to 2016, the oldest shirt so far.
The number one is the coup de grace.
Well, this is what I believe that Zaslow has done.
Or the
Zaslow has
2015
done.
shirt.
I believe that what Zaslow has done is he has reduced expectations to a point now with number 3 and number 2 that number 1 is going to really blow our nipples off.
I just want to say right now, I have a polo shirt from when I worked for the Hawks at my house right now, right? That's 1999, maybe 2000. And you're bringing me 2019? The pandemic was right around the corner. What are you doing? This isn't rare.
That's history right there, yeah.
Zaslow is embarrassing himself so
It's not
far.
even is a Chris Bosh years post-retirement Chris Bosh shirt.
That shirt is practically new compared to some of the rags that these guys are putting as trapos on mops in their house.
I'm wearing
Exactly
a shirt
right.
from Pitt that someone sent me that I'm pretty sure is older than 2019.
This shirt right here,
Yeah.
this is way older than 2019.
Yeah.
I got
Well,
this
you should be embarrassed then.
because you got brand new
Get
shirts.
some new clothes. I mean, I sleep in these.
Now you're lashing out.
I'm not going out in public like you.
It looks brand new.
It does.
It does not look brand new.
What are you talking about?
It does not look
It's
brand.
pristine.
His wife wants to get rid of it because the Chris and the Bosch, those are supposed to be all white letters. They're black and white because the white has been washed through
I
because
can barely read what it says.
Zaslow is wearing this shirt too much is the problem. His wife doesn't like it.
Feel it. It's comfortable,
because
though.
it's too comfortable. It's another comfortable
It's comfortable,
shirt.
right?
Yes,
Yeah, I know.
but
Dan, this might be a proximity thing because to the viewers on screen and from us over here, it looks very white.
Yeah.
We can read it very
De
clearly.
Paquete right now.
He
yeah.
brought it because
Nuevo de Paquete.
the white in the letters had actually it has rubbed off from the washings. It has been made clear that shirt has been washed too much.
I have no expectations for number 1. I'm going to be honest
Me
with you
too.
so far.
That's my move
If
right
it's
there.
not a
yeah.
white,
All right, well,
if
let's
not a
get
white
right to
Hanes
it.
shirt
You know what?
that's way too big.
If it doesn't say Cycly on it,
Let's get
outta
right
here.
to it because so far you have the build-up. If it doesn't say cycling, if this is
It's
got
white.
white.
It's white.
all right,
got a faded white.
Hold on, everyone.
They got to retire that
Wait a
white
minute,
hot,
wait,
if we're going to be
before- wait,
honest,
wait, wait,
right?
wait,
Like
before-
Zaslow, they got to retire that white hot every playoff. We're embarrassing ourselves at this point in time. Every time it's white hot, you knew you were going to get destroyed in this playoffs. I think you play it by ear and you say, this is going to be a run, we do white hot. This one, we knew. You can't do white hot
Before
today.
you reveal the shirt, please, from the room, what are some guesses here that will meet your expectations? Just because I want to put the pressure here on Zaslow, and already you guys are, going back to Ronnie Cycli. You want like a double-double from 1990.
It's
I think
years old.
That's unreasonable to do that, but if it's pre-LeBron, that will meet with your approval.
I don't think this will be pre-LeBron.
I don't
I think
know.
this is going to be like LeBron's
Well, he
first or
started
second
cheering
year.
for the team when LeBron got here.
No, that's my father.
Whoa.
That's my father.
I mean,
that's not
we
Zaslow.
come on. You and I, we're getting to know each other better. We feel like we got a good thing going here. I mean, you're a little too involved.
Just
I
calling
already,
like I
but
see it.
Let's take it down a notch.
A little too involved with what? With
everything.
With Wild Willie Wednesdays? or-
No, just everything. He's got so much going on. Calm down.
You're on my turf, friend.
No, I understand.
He get him with a friend and his own dog. Things are escalating with
I have
Billy
a dog.
Gill. Things are escalating around here.
Let's see this shirt.
All right.
Here we go. He unveils it.
Oh!
It is 2016 White Hot Heat playoffs.
Gotta have that heart.
Get out of here, man.
It is hard.
Get out of
That
here.
is ratty, though.
Those
It's a
black
ratty-ass
letters
shirt.
are faded.
It is ratty, but still 2000.
It is very ratty. This is what the level of quality that we were expecting out of all 3 shirts. This one is actually faded, not just like the other one. But this right here, he's getting booed. He's getting booed because he gave us 3 shirts that all happened like
Heart.
in the Goran Dragic era.
Exactly.
You gave us Hassan Whiteside, Goran Dragic level shirts.
Zaslow, I'm going to need you to go back through your closet and look through some more things and bring more things for your next appearance.
Look at
because
this. Look at this here. Heart.
Yes, it does have a great deal of heart. And look, the whole room is disappointed by your shirt.
I was expecting like a Eastern Conference Finals 2004.
Yeah.
Like, something.
Zaz, I have never in my life ever rooted for the Atlanta Hawks one time. And I tell you, I have a trash bag full of gear that puts all of that to shame.
I'm going to put this to shame tomorrow. Tomorrow, I will show you 3 raggedy shirts.
I'm going to go to Goodwill this afternoon and get my shirts back.
You know what? I mean, when you fly back next week or whenever it is you're coming back, I want you to bring back 3 of your rattiest shirts. I'd like us all to take
Let's
this
have
challenge.
a rat off.
Now, unfortunately, I've recently cleaned out a bunch of stuff, although I think you guys, I have.
You're not a giveaway guy, though.
Listen, I've done it personally.
Elise.
No.
I got a list here, Dan.
You took it to the hard
I got a
rock,
list
and then
here.
all of a sudden.
What is the top 5? What do you have?
Things you don't do with Dan.
Okay, let's see here.
I
what
like
we've
this.
got. And I also need to get to the Boost Mobile line, so please hurry up.
So OOLI is Dan giving away his own stuff that does not. OLI, don't let Dan pay for parking.
Yep.
OLI, criticize Pat Riley or Mickey Harrison.
Don't let Dan pay for parking? Why can't I pay for parking?
You pay a guy who's just wearing a vest who's not parking
You're
attendant.
just giving it to anybody.
All
right. Number 5, play a long video about chicken in the middle of the show.
There's 2 videos.
That's number 4.
That was the second video.
Number
It wasn't
4.
the first one. It was the second 3-minute video.
Number 4, charge Dan but tell him no cash.
It's infuriating, un-American.
Number 3,
I want to set fire. I'm gonna get arrested for arson. One of these places that refuses to take my cash.
Number 3, accidentally talk at the same time as someone standing behind you. Number 2, give him something.
Anything.
And the number 1 thing you don't do with Dan Le Batard, tell him a secret.
Leaky faucet card.
I thought I'd buy myself something with transparency. I had a friend laugh at me about that the other day. Yeah, you can't keep a secret. Well, you tell everybody the truth. You're honest all the time. No, it buys you nothing. Buys you nothing at all.
That's not transparency when you tell secrets.
It is weird considering what your profession was,
No, people-
right? Like
no,
you're a journalist, you had sources, but if we tell you anything, you tell everyone everything.
But that's because when he's reporting, he's able to put out that information right away. So he's keeping the secret, but he's used to within a week, it's out of his head. He doesn't have to keep the secret anymore.
I love the psychology of this. It's like Dan's whole adult life. He's been told secrets that he's been allowed to tell everybody else in print, and everyone's always applauded him and say, hey, what a great job, Dan. You're so good at it. And so Dan is now psychologically trained to believe that giving secrets out is a good thing. So if you tell him a secret, he's like, I want that feeling again of everyone patting me on the back. Hey, here's the secret that Amin just told me.
Or it's all content.
But we're not coming to you for content mining. We're coming to you with, personal, private conversations that then you turn into content.
That would be like Greg Cody writing an article about you getting engaged. That would be crazy.
To take something so personal, so private, and turn it to cheapen it by turning it into content. Who would do that? Only someone who trained under someone else who does that sort of thing. Someone who looked up to a mentor, perhaps.
Who does that kind of thing.
That kind of thing. I'm
Mickey
disappointed that Zaslow's not in here with Cody, his nemesis. You realize Cody's avoiding him, right?
He'll be in here tomorrow, will you?
I'm not here tomorrow.
Cody's avoiding him. We have the chance to have real, genuine sparks between people.
I was telling them in back here that I want to ask my dad tomorrow about the Haliburton dad thing, because my dad, never obviously with kids, but when I was playing sports growing up, other parents, coaches, officials, my dad, I've seen that type of almost face to face with my dad.
This is true. This is an absolutely true story I'm about to tell you. I still remember it from my childhood because it involves the funny name Wayne Usina, who got his head handed to him by my father. And Wayne Usina wore the coaching shorts and was a big, big man. While my mom was in the stands talking to another woman about how my father had been just softened by coaching his sons and was a more gentle man, someone went after my brother's knees, and while my mother was saying this, my father had pinned Wayne Usina on the floor and was beating the holy out of him.
Papi,
I'm sorry, Wayne.
standing on business.
I'm sorry, he was standing on business. It's too bad Jeremy's not here. I don't know why he's not here. I was just going to go to the Shakira story that he so badly wants to tell anybody, but he's not here, so we're not going to be able to do that. That's unfortunate. Zaslow has created some tensions around here, and What are you shrugging your shoulders about?
I mean, it is what it is. I'm just living my life.
Who's he created tensions with?
Well, you have some stuff with him.
I don't have anything with him. I like him.
Okay, that's been alleged. And I would say that Greg Cody has some problems with him. And I would also say that now the audience.
Journalistic beef.
The audience also has some problems with Zaslow because earlier in the show, David Samson was on with us, and Zaslow said one thing to his face, and I alleged that he had said something about Samson being a swindler, and Zaslow said we would not be able to find the sound, and then I was a lonely Kentucky Fried Chicken because nobody believed me, and I have been told we have found a sound. And so now I just want to get the nature of the dispute out in front of people because Zaslow has said he never said what we accused him of saying. So, Chris Cody, what is the sound that has been found by our researcher?
We have a sound that is from the end of March.
Ass sound?
We have a ass sound from the end of March. And you're going to hear the first 35 seconds here and think it's today's show because he goes into the thing of like my son, impressed that I'm on. I'm telling you,
yes,
I want to overlap today's show because I didn't believe it was an old show.
He's a radio professional, and you could have heard all of these thoughts on The Starting Point with Brian Scalabrine and Frank Isola yesterday because he can do things on repeat. He's a good radio person. He's a rising star at ESPN Radio.
Starting lineup, that's a fine.
What did I say?
You said starting point.
So you're going to hear a 50-second clip here. And in 45 seconds in, I think we're going to get the quote you want.
All right, well, hold on a second. So let's just make the allegation clear. I am saying that when Zaslow talked with David Samson, whose company he has enjoyed, it is without David Samson having the knowledge that Zaslow has called him a swindler in the past. And Zaslow is claiming he's never done that.
I don't think it's true.
Okay, so he's saying it's not in any way true, but when introducing your son to our audience and your son's feelings about David Samson because of what he's done to the Marlins, you put a framing on it that was positive as if you've never said anything bad about David Samson. But what you actually told your son, I think, is that he's a swindler who built the Marlins in Miami for millions.
I'm going to ask you, in this clip that you're playing here, am I telling my son why people don't like him? Or am I saying why I don't like him?
Your son's appraisal of David Samson is that he's a swindler and a liar based on what his father has told him.
All right, I'd like to hear this. My son's at an age at 16 where his friends, they're all on social media, and his friends say, hey, look at this clip. It's your dad on the Le Batard Show, the other day. And, okay, my son's not that impressed with it, but he then sees, he looks at the comments, and my son said, he goes, I got to tell you, the comments, people really liked you. And I go, it'll even out. All right, don't worry about that. And then he says, I'll tell you who they don't like. And I'm like, oh, okay. Who? He goes, that Samson guy. And so I laughed. And he doesn't know who he is, though. I said, you know who David Samson is? Like, he thinks he's just a personality on your show. And I guess that makes sense. If you're 16 and David Samson hasn't been the president of the Marlins in, 7 years? Like, it makes sense. Like, yeah, he was the president of the Marlins. He swindled the city and got the stadium. Like, everybody hates him. They're cheap, whatever. But he...
those were the Cliff Notes.
Yeah. That's
it.
That's what you lead with, right?
Yeah, $2 billion FEU.
Yeah. So he has been introduced to David. You know who they don't like? That Samson guy.
He swindled the city.
So again, that's not me saying that. That's why people don't like him, because they believe he swindled the city.
But you said it.
I'm giving him the reason why people don't like him. I don't believe that.
Zaz is just the messenger. Exactly. Why are you guys blaming the messenger?
It's like, why do they hate him? Well, because they think this. That doesn't mean I think it.
He didn't say it's because he swindled the city.
Right.
He said it's because they think he swindled the city.
Yeah.
I'm with Zaz here. What's this witch hunt we're doing?
The Boost mobile phone line is a subject of a great ridicule by me. It has slightly improved. It is still not yet good. Let's find out.
Before we even play this, you are so off base on this.
So wrong.
You are so you are loud wrong on this.
You're the only one that doesn't
They're
like
good, man. They're good, and they're getting better.
The Boost Mobile boldest take from the weekend is presented by Boost Mobile, the newest 5G network in the country.
Josh on the payphone. a long sleeve shirt with shorts is a much better combination than a short sleeve shirt with pants. I'll hang up and listen.
Keith from New York. Long time, first time. Sharp cheddar tastes better at the end than it does at the front of the bite. Second half cheese.
Hey guys, Dennis from Charlotte. Real simple. Sean Payton is one onside kick away from being Jeff Fisher. I'll hang up and listen.
Ooh. This is Alec from Cleveland. Best place to fart in public, Disney World by far.
Hey, this is Ben on a bicycle phone. You know, they say when people are hesitating, they hem and haw. Can you hem without hawing? Can you haw without hemming? I'll hang up and listen.
Hey, this is Tate from Nashville. In honor of the draft, I've got a limited fake Sean Connery scouting Travis Hunter. He's played both sides.
Hey, this is Steve in Pittsburgh. My boldest take is that a spoon and a knife are the only utensils that you need. A spoon can do everything that a fork can, but a fork can't do anything that a spoon can. Thanks. I'll hang up and listen.
This is AJ from Indianapolis, and this is my limited fake Dan Le Batard. No! I can't believe you took Duncan over Hibbert.
That's a good badge.
I'm telling you.
I'm telling you, Dan. You've been trying to hate on this thing.
That's
These
a
people
good
have been
badge.
bringing it.
Forks are overrated.
The sharp cheddar guy, he's onto something.
First of all, to the spoon versus fork guy, that's my dad. My dad is like, why do you need a fork?
For real.
Everything. He just spoons all the time. I'm like, I want a fork.
Maybe pancakes you need a fork for, but like most things you can get away with a spoon. Pasta.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Can you get away with never using a fork your entire life?
Best place to fart is Disneyland or Disney World because, of course, Chris.
Airplane.
No.
That's the worst.
Diabolical.
What a monster.
No one hear you. Like you could go for days. No one hears a thing.
No. The point is, you do it at Disney.
You're in a tube stuck with people.
Everyone loves their own brand.
But what about everyone else's brand?
I like to see the look of other people. Like, it's like, and then you give them a look like I smell it too.
Chris, you do it at Disneyland when you're in line because no one will blame an adult. We'll just assume it's one of these little turds here.
That's true. A lot of kids to blame.
I think there's a difference that you can smell the difference. Do I have this wrong between adult farts and child farts? Do I have this wrong?
Yes, you do.
I need to introduce you to my children.
Yeah, change the diaper.
I'd really
and you'll
rather
see.
not be.
Dude, children are so foul, it's disgusting.
I don't want to take it to toilet humor, but my child clogged the toilet so bad. When I looked inside, I thought it was an alligator. I thought it was the snout of an alligator coming out of it. I was like, how?
There's no way you actually thought it was an alligator.
Dude, I'm telling you, the shape and the size, the sheer size. That was not a log. That was something.
Thought of texting Ron.
Absolutely. I pulled my phone out.
No, I think Chris is right. I want to know for how long you thought of it. You thought to yourself, is this an alligator?
I walked in. Whoa. I said, what's going on? It was like, oh, the toilet won't flush. I'm like, what's wrong? And I looked inside, and I saw kind of like the snout. You know how like in the movies they come out the water like this? That's what I saw staring back at me. Like, ah! And then I looked at it like, oh, no.
David Stassen joins us now. I can't imagine how he's been absorbing this. Okay, this is one of Hollywood's great showrunners. You've got two movies on his resume that Zaslow loves. Two of them, Central Intelligence and Blockers. The Mindy Project is wildly popular, and he's now got a series on Netflix. What are you laughing about, Billy?
Well, which one surprised you there? Was it Central Intelligence or Blockers? Because you seemed surprised when we said like two of your movies.
He did seem surprised that Zaslow was such a big fan of both of those movies. Why were you surprised, and what did you make of the conversation that you walked in on where one of Amin's children had clogged a toilet so badly that Amin, his father, thought it was an alligator in the toilet?
Yeah, I mean, that's the classic comedian's worst nightmare is to come in after a great bit. And I feel like I came in after an amazing story. Well done. No, as a writer, I'm just surprised anyone ever knows anything about me. So I was just cool to hear those movies I worked on.
Zaslow, you want to tell the man? I am more interested in the gutter parts of your story that involve working on the Jim Rome show and Pardon the Interruption. But Zaslow has questions about your actual success.
Yeah, I love those movies so much. So let's start with Blockers, though. Blockers, it's one of the funniest movies I've ever seen, but it is filthy raunchy. So what is what's the age where you should not be watching with your teenage son?
He's got 2 sons. How old are your sons?
16 and 13. And my wife and I, who love this movie, we watched it with our son probably when he was 14. Is that too young?
I think you're good. I think you're good at 14. I was going to say 13 would be, I think the youngest I would go. Now, when I was a kid, I mean, I was watching The Predator and Commando when I was like 7 years old. So I was seeing people's guts being torn out of their bodies. But now I think we're all more careful. I think 13 for blockers is good.
I got a quick question for you. My whole life, I've thought the movie was called Blockers. Is it unofficially Blockers, but because of censorship, we got to call it Blockers? Or is it Blockers and you guys are always just doing a wink thing?
It was the original title was Blockers. And then I think they changed it to then they workshopped a few titles before I came on board. I think Roosters might have been one of them. And we were on set we're like, no, there's no way it can be Roosters. What's the tagline is going to be cock-a-doodle-doo. So then they just went with Blockers, and it worked out because everyone on this on this session here has found the movie.
Do you want to talk to him about Central Intelligence? I imagine the Mindy Project is the thing that you've done that's gotten the most critical acclaim.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. It's beloved, and it's one of those things where once it gets on Netflix, it has a second and third life, and younger people start to find it. And Running Point, which just came out a couple months ago, has been most recently just because it's first run on Netflix. Just the reach is incredible, and I've never had more people reach out to me about anything than Running Point.
When you wrote or co-wrote Central Intelligence, do you have The Rock and Kevin Hart in mind for those roles while you're writing it?
We wrote it, actually, it took 7 or 8 years to get made. So when we wrote it, we were picturing we kept pitching it as Fat Jason Bourne, and we are obsessed. Ike and I are obsessed with Danny McBride. So we were always picturing it was like Ed Helms and Danny McBride. And then the movie was bought and sold to another studio, and we took about 3 other jobs in between and stopped caring about it and thought it would never get made. And then we had lunch with Rawson Thurber, the director of it, and he was like, "I'm gonna get The Rock and Kevin Hart attached," and we were like, "All right, well, good luck with that," and he did it.
What was Rock like working with on a comedy?
Super nice guy. I was only on set a little bit. I actually have a little cameo in the movie. I'm at the high school reunion at the very end of the movie. And I was on set that day. But The Rock, that's his nude scene. That's where he strips down on stage. And you know how those guys are, I don't think he'd had water in a week. He had not eaten, and he had a long speech in that moment. So he was very nice. They introduced me as the writer of the movie, but he also was locked into being nude and having to make a long speech in front of a high school gym of 400 people.
You're being nice, and this is a very kind story, the way that he's telling it. There's no way under that circumstance that The Rock wanted to talk to you or wanted you anywhere near him. And so he was nice under the circumstances, but he would have wanted to tell you to bleep off.
Exactly. That's how nice of a guy he is. He was probably going through some sort of low blood sugar, chemical withdrawal, memorizing a page of dialogue, and had to meet some guy they flew in from LA for one line in the movie. Oh my God, I'm sorry. Oh,
no, you're good.
Scandalous. One of the writers for Blockers has said a word that we don't like around here. So sorry.
How was The Rock's package?
There it is.
We should all see his next movie. We'll get another view of it.
Really?
Chris, can you get the timing right on Wild Willie Wednesdays? It's never been more appropriate. The Wild Willie question. Please put it in every Wednesday.
David, I grew up in a household where Mel Brooks was a staple. I had watched all the movies, among them History of the World Part 1. You were the showrunner for History of the World Part 2, which is on Hulu. My question to you is, A, how did that come about for you? And B, was there any point where you were like, holy shit, I got to do this Mel Brooks thing? And that's a lot of pressure, right?
Yeah, it was a lot of pressure. It's still surreal to think that I got to work with Mel Brooks. Like you, I grew up. I call him my first babysitter. My parents would go out or have people over, and it was just a couple of VHS tapes. Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles, History of the World. So there was some pressure. But Mel is the nicest, sweetest man in the world. When we first met with him, he said, "I'm only doing the show for the health insurance." And I was like, okay, this guy's 95 years old. He's still got it. And Nick Kroll had met with Mel and talked about this idea. And so Nick then Nick wanted some comedy partners on it to help write the show. And he brought Ike and me aboard to do it. And that was still a dream come true.
How was Mel's package?
Mel, I mean, he's packing.
Yeah. I didn't know, but I'm glad we were able to confirm it. Confirm
it? Dano.
Confirm it. Whoa! I wanted to ask him. Thank you. I wanted to ask him about Running Point, as he mentioned, because it's Jeannie Buss, it's Kate Hudson. The Lakers story continues to be mined for gold everywhere. And I was curious about how some of this got made. Jeannie Buss is forthcoming with all parts of her story here. How much of this is fictionalized and how much to you feels like it's just Jeannie Buss turned up to 10?
Well, we're definitely using her kind of life story as inspiration. But we wanted to make it not like Winning Time, which Winning Time is great, but we weren't doing, a biography. And Mindy and Ike and me are all just comedy writers first, and much, lean much more towards 30 Rock or Arrested Development or Righteous Gemstones than capturing the exact history of something. So it's a loose representation of what the Buss family is, but really we've created this world and these characters and this made up team. So we've been able to do it our own way. But Jeannie is super open. I mean, she tells us stories and we try and, tweak them to make them funny and make them our own. But she and Linda Rambis, who's also a producer on the show, they are just incredible partners.
Can you help me understand Jeannie Buss? I don't know what her relationship is or was with Jay Moore or with comedy, but I believe she's got a special relationship with specifically comedy, does she not?
Yeah, she loves comedy. She loves stand-up. She is married to Jay Moore. That's the relationship I know of. And yeah, she and Linda, because I think they work in this pressure cooker, all they do when they're free is watch comedies. They've seen every half-hour comedy that's come out in the last 20 years. They're just huge comedy fans, and that's why they always felt like, oh, we're two women running an NBA team. Our lives are crazy. It'd be a funny TV show.
Was Chet Hanks the number one get? Were you like, all right, we're going to go for Chet Hanks, and if he doesn't show up, we're screwed?
Chet was brought to us by our casting director, Kim Coleman, and it was perfect. It was right away. It was like, it's got to be Chet. He said this part was literally written for me. If I don't get it, I should kill myself. And so we kind of had to give it to him.
I hope.
That seems dramatic. It's the first season of Running Point. It is streaming now on Netflix, which is in more disarray, weirdness, and general uncertainty right now. Hollywood, the sports media, or your Chicago Bulls?
Ooh. Oh man. I'm gonna say Hollywood. The Bulls have a couple pieces. I would give almost all of them up for Giannis. And all
of them. You'd give all of them up for Giannis, not almost all of them. You'd give all of them.
Fair enough. But then we're just the Bucks.
That wouldn't be a bad thing to be if you were properly managed.
Okay, you're the Bulls, right? Hold on.
Congratulations, you're the Bulls.
Being the Bucks is like a dream come true.
True. I would take Giannis for the whole squad.
Is the cereal still in the Wheaties box above your left shoulder?
That is an unopened box from 1991 that I have in a special case. I bought it when the Bulls won their first championship. And yeah, there are unopened Wheaties in there.
I'm sorry, David. What year was that from, you said? 1991.
That's a fan.
That's a collectible. Yeah. That's a fan, Zaz. Our good friend Jonathan Zazzle wants to bring in his most prized possessions. He brings us T-shirts from 2019. I'm like, these are not collectibles. They're just T-shirts in the rotation.
Yeah. You can't see it, but I also have a 92 Dream Team Jordan autograph jersey.
92.
Is there any way, I don't know how much do you value that Wheaties box? Like, what would we have to do in order to get you to try and eat a piece of 30-year-old cereal?
Oh, I think I need like a producer credit going forward on the show.
We give those out like
oh, you do?
Skittles, man.
You're such an easy negotiation. It seems like we are now in a negotiation that will make you eat from that box right now. At the end of today's show, you will get a producer credit.
Well, I think I need this is why I have an agent, because I'm a bad.
We
almost had him.
No, we did have him. No, that should be orally binding, and now he's backing out. What do you mean we almost had him? We did have him, and then he realized, wait, they let all the producers talk around here. It doesn't mean anything. Yeah, that's what he realized. Can we talk for a moment before you go about your PTI Sports Radio Jim Rome days?
Yeah, absolutely. I was finishing grad school in LA for screenwriting and got a letter in the mail that I owed money for student loans. And I said, oh crap, like I need a job. And the great Eric Rideholm hired me all the way across the country to be a PA on PTI. And I moved to DC and worked on PTI and Around the Horn for a couple of years. And it was the most fun I've ever had. It was like working in a sports bar with, Tony and Wilbon just swearing all morning as they kind of like molded their arguments in the newsroom. And I wanted to get back to screenwriting, so moved back to LA, and Eric hooked me up with producer at Jim Rome is Burning. And I did that in the mornings while I continued to write in the afternoons until we sold Central Intelligence, actually.
Were you ever scared of Tony?
Early on, because I was a very, young, poor guy living in DC, they'd bring in a catering before the show every day. And I would always grab a sandwich and shove it in my bag as I left. And they did come up to me one day and they're just, hey, just so you know, let Tony pick his sandwich first before you put one in your backpack. And so, yeah, Tony was a little more intimidating than Wilbon. Wilbon's from Chicago. He used to get me Bulls tickets when they were playing the Wizards. And we both went to Northwestern. Tony was a little more intimidating.
The Jim Rome experience different than that, right? It's not quite as, I wouldn't imagine the community is locked in arms, laughing and singing toward the sky there.
No, there's definitely more of a separation of church and state. We would stick in our editing dungeon and work on the clips and never see the light of day.
Were you allowed to look him in the eye?
Yeah, I was. I didn't do it too often, but yeah.
Were you allowed to call him Jim?
I don't think I ever called him Jim.
Mr. Rome?
Mr. Rome, sir. Sir.
So you were scared of him?
Well, he was an intense guy. He takes his job very seriously. Look, what am I going to say?
I'm not. You did. I put you in a bad spot there. No, but I'm. The only reason I'm laughing is because knowing the two environments and knowing how much I love the environment backstage at Pardon the Interruption, I can see how a communal show would be much different than writing for one person who's doing one show as one voice. Those are very different projects, and so I put you in a bad spot, but I did it on purpose.
Yeah, no worries. We still actually had fun on Jim Rome. It was still a great group of people, in our little hole.
Do you miss anything about the sports beginnings?
No, I mean, I loved it. I feel like I kind of burned out on sports because it was so full time, and now I can watch it more as a casual. Like, also having the Bulls won all their titles, I don't really care what happens anymore. I'm a Bulls fan, but I can enjoy all NBA now.
Wow, what a great position. Did you hear that position as a sports fan? To win so much that I no longer care about sports because I've had my fill. I've moved on to other things.
Dog, he's got a 93 box of Wheaties, or 91 box of Wheaties behind him. What more do you want?
Nothing again will feel that good.
It can't.
Exactly. Yeah. It was incredible. It was the best ever. It was probably like living in New York in 1922 when Babe Ruth was hitting homers. and nothing will be better. So I can just enjoy the NBA now, every game.
David, thank you. We appreciate the time. I do recommend Running Point, the new comedy series on Netflix. These folks do nothing but good work, so I would recommend it to you strongly. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Really fun.
Next time we'll talk about The Oath.
Yes.
Thank you for being
quite the
on
endorsement
with us.
on that at the end.
Yes, it just
Yes.
Yeah, he got a thumbs up. He got the conversation he walked in on of Amin and his child clogging a toilet that began with not to go too deep into the woods on toilet humor here, that then became a alligator.
I believe the first thing he heard was, "Can you smell the difference between an adult and a child?"
I still would put that on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is there a difference in the smell?
You
And
have to smell
I
like
wouldn't.
children waste, Dan. Like, it is
No.
so foul.
I'm not saying waste. I'm saying the farts of children versus the farts of adults. Is there a scent difference that would make you in a Disney World line be able to accuse a 6-year-old instead of his lumberjack of a 340-pound father with the turkey leg in his hand?
But do you think like you grow up and you get a smelly bone, and the kid's smelly bone just hasn't come in yet?
I think
like a fart's a fart.
I think a kid's fart either smells like the mom or the dad. Like
What?
my wife,
absolutely not.
My
Wait.
wife, my wife has said that my daughter's farts smell like my farts.
I could see that actually, like genetic fart smell.
Dude, you just been given the gift from heaven. Yeah. Anytime you're around your kid
Easy
and it's
out.
like, it was her, man. I didn't do it. Come on.
You think I haven't done that?
You think that's what heaven gives his gifts?
The biggest dad move there is you fart and you go, Graceland, why'd you fart? You guys don't do this?
No, the biggest dad move is, what was that sound? You do that like, hey, did you guys hear that?
Billy, I would like tomorrow on the show or next Wild Willie Wednesday to put adult poop, baby poop, and dog poop in front of you, and you pick which is which.
Pepsi challenge?
Blindfolded, yes.
Okay, no.
Blindfolded.
I have
That's
baby
too
poop if
bad.
you want.
That's too bad. Wild Willie Wednesday needs to be wilder.
I can provide the human poop, the adult poop.
You live in Arizona.
I do.
There are no alligators or crocodiles that are native to Arizona. So did you think this one was like on a long journey to your toilet?
Hey, man, the pipes. It's all pipes.
So you think that from somewhere an alligator just crawled in pipes and made all the way to your home in Arizona?
It happens in South Florida with snakes, iguanas. Like these are things that frogs
are in Florida. There are no crocodiles and alligators in Arizona.
I think you're missing the point. It's all pipes. It's all connected.
Yeah, but they're not pipes big enough for alligators.
You'd be surprised at what can yeah. Dude, you see videos like Komodo dragons come out of toilets. Like, it's crazy what can fit in pipes.
Maybe it was a Komodo dragon.
Maybe.
I wanted to ask you about where it is that we are placing Jamal Murray on the pantheon of performers when I've been telling you here, and it's a tricky thing to trust James Harden, and it's a trickier thing to trust the Clippers. I've been telling you that I believe that team for 2 seasons now is championship good if healthy. They run into the best player in the league. When James Harden was asked recently who should win the MVP, he said we'd all like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to win, but of course, Jokic is the best player. He's obviously the best player. Last night, Jokic, again, controls the basketball game in a way that is super strange and allows us and allows Jamal Murray to enjoy the heightened excellence of what it gets to be when you're the number 2 guy who doesn't ever have the number 1 guy responsibilities, and you can occasionally put up the 36 because he's going for a triple-double, 13 points, and that's the day they decide he's just going to pass the ball and allow Jamal Murray to be a player that generally he's not. I mean, he is not. I don't believe that Jamal Murray without Jokic would be putting up a great many 40-point games. I believe he's afforded what he's – and not that – how many 40-point games has Jamal Murray put up in his career? Is it 5, you'd say? What would you
regular
guess?
season?
Just all total. I would say that if he's done that – he may have done it more than 5 times, but I don't think of him as a player in Game 5. Even as someone who saw him in the bubble and says that first-round playoff series of Jamal and Jokic playing together is the best basketball I've ever seen. Him playing against Donovan Mitchell and Utah, because it was that unstoppable. Those 2 guys was that unstoppable.
Jamal Murray has 6 games of 40-plus points in the playoffs alone.
Okay, but for his career, I bet you it's not a ton more than that. Like I'm going to guess, I'm going to guess that this guy is putting up something that would resemble Jimmy Butler if Jimmy Butler didn't exist in terms of what he does in the postseason versus what he's doing in the regular season, and what that buys you in reputation when the next 2 games, nobody trusts James Harden in the next 2 games. Like, There's nobody listening to this, nobody, who will say that I trust that James Harden in these next 2 games isn't going to put up what he just put up there when they needed him to do something.
He also has 6 40-plus point games in his regular season career. So there is a stark difference between the efficiency on that in the playoffs and the regular season.
I think, first of all, this goes back to what Jeremy was talking about earlier about the need for consistency and not making rash decisions. Murray and Jokic have something special. Like, that's not just, because he plays with a great player.
That's Stockton Malone.
Yes, they are Stockton and Malone. They are Nash and Stoudemire. They have a symmetry and a symbiosis that I think elevates both of them. Obviously, Jokic is a great player. He'd be a great player without Murray. But I think he's a greater player with Murray. They play off of one another so well. At this point, much of these aren't even play calls. It's just telepathy almost, right? And you can throw in Aaron Gordon there as a third. It's like an unconventional big three. They're not stars on their own right, the other two, but together they are the formation of something incredibly special and symbiotic. We talk about where are we going to regard Jamal Murray. I said this the year they won the title. Someone was like, he could be an all-star. I'm like, he'll never be an all-star. I said, how could you say that? I said, because look at the Western Conference. Look at who the guards are in the Western Conference. He's always going to be not quite good enough to be regarded as one of the best, but there's a long list of guys, whether it's Monte Ellis, whether it's Jamal Crawford, Lou Williams, Eddie Johnson.
He's better than all those guys, though, no?
I don't know. I think all those guys were really, 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 really good players, but they didn't get the opportunity to play alongside for a long period of time with one of the best ever and create that chemistry. Like, if those guys played with great players, it was always fleeting. It was always like, for a year or two I played over here in Indiana with Reggie Miller, or I played a year or two over here with Chris Paul, but you never got that, hey, the bulk of my career is being building, not just playing and benefiting, but building something that is so strong you can't recreate it or replicate it in like a season or two.
You believe, though, that there is a lot of comps for guy who will score 40 points in 6 playoff games, is a champion, and is not an all-star?
Not an all-star makes it harder, for sure. Again, the names that I just dropped are probably the guys.
But I'm saying that if I just give you Jamal Murray statistics and I just show you things being done in important moments on the way to important victories.
Right. No, I mean, look.
Like, that's a player that's remembered for all time if you put up 6 40-point games in the playoffs.
He absolutely – he's made a name for himself. He is – him and Brunson go back and forth on who is the leader of biggest differential between my career points per game average during regular season and career in the playoffs. And even then, when you say that, Brunson has kind of a sneaky advantage that helps his number in that way because Brunson started his career as a guy – second-round pick, wasn't even supposed to play. And he would come in spot duty and stuff. And so his regular season numbers are kind of depressed from his time in Dallas, whereas Jamal Murray was a lottery pick and really got the playing time from the beginning. So his jump is actually a more representative. Like, no, he's actually doing way more. But then when you put all those parameters, obviously it gets really hard. You're saying guy who's never been an all-star, guy who has this jump in scoring, and you add in champion. Now you've really narrowed it down. We don't typically see a lot of those.
I think that off of the games yesterday, you're going to have some difficulty finding something that's harder to talk about than the placement of Jamal Murray, given that from StatMuse, he now has more 40-point playoff games than Larry Bird, Charles Barkley, Kawhi, Ant, Mitchell, Jokic.
Dan.
Yeah, Carmelo, Dame, McGrady, Magic, Trey, Oscar Robertson, Paul Pierce, Karl Malone, Jason Tatum.
So, Dan, I'm looking at the list right here, and when I tell you every guy on the list ahead of him is either a Hall of Famer right now or is going to be a Hall of Famer. I think like Devin Booker might be the one where it's like, okay, that's on the cusp. But everyone else on this list, we're talking Steph Curry, we're talking about Rick Barry, we're talking about Russell Westbrook, Dwayne Wade, Dirk Nowitzki, Bernard King, Wilt Chamberlain, Kobe Bryant, Elgin Baylor, Kevin Durant, Jerry West, LeBron, Michael Jordan. Like, these are the names. These are the names. Shaq is on that list. Iverson's on that list. Kareem. Like I said, the in question, and I think these guys are going to be Hall of Famers eventually, Devin Booker, Jimmy Butler, and there was one, and Jalen Brunson. Those are the questionable names on that list. Everyone else on the list ahead of him is either a Hall of Famer right now or is a surefire Hall of Famer.
And he'll never be an All-Star.
He'll never be an All-Star.
I can't believe that my father saw Mickey Arison leaving the arena in a wig, sunglasses, and a mustache.
Like a ball of wax.
You guys, you know what? Having a kid is hard. Yeah. Like, I didn't realize how much it was going to take and how much, like, mentally we were going to be going through.
I'm totally with you. You know one of the hardest things as a father, and you're going to learn to hate this, when your kid goes through like your phone or your iPad and finds a number of a draft pick and then prank calls them, and then you get fined personally, not your employer. You personally get fined $100,000.
Yeah.
That's, you're going to hate that part of parenthood.
I hope I get to that point of parenthood.
It would be a nice.
Yeah, where I have $100,000 that I can give to a league.
They don't just fine anyone $100,000. They fine you $100,000 if they know you got $100,000.
Exactly right.
You think so? I don't know.
I don't know. That's a steep fine for an assistant coach.
He made 1.6 last year with the Jets, but that's a lot of money.
It's a huge part.
Are you Zaz? I don't know how you felt when you were having your children. So Tony, right before he had his children, there was his daughter.
I was wrong. I was wrong.
Before he had his daughter, NCAA came out, and the baby's coming. He's like, "I'm gonna have so much video game time when this baby's born." And we're like, "Tony, not
I was wrong.
not how
It's
that
okay.
one works."
I
exactly.
can put my hand up and say I was wrong.
But
There's nothing wrong with that.
Are you surprised by like how little video game time you have now?
I can pick my spots if I really wanted to.
Hold on, like, why did you think you were going to have video game
good
time?
question.
Because
he thought it was going to be like this. Like the baby's here and he's holding the controller. That's
and
what
the
he
baby's
thought.
just chilling, like allowing you to play games.
The first month, obviously, and for the first couple of weeks, they're very tired. Sazlo, they sleep a lot.
Yeah. They don't move a lot.
They sleep a lot. Okay, and mom's breastfeeding, so they're eating, they're sleeping, they're doing their thing.
Honey, I'm gonna go play video games while you're breastfeeding.
I thought I was
don't
gonna have
say
some
that.
more time.
No, you assume
sneak
she's
away.
doing something, and I gotta go do a quick 30 here, and then
You
boom, you
sneak
run
away,
a quick
exactly
game, and you're
right.
by week 2.
Exactly right. But again, I was wrong. I'll admit that. But going through the last, she's gonna be 4 months now. May 1st.
You're gonna miss this.
Thank you. Well, what I'm not gonna miss is now she's starting to teeth, and now like my life has kind of become like very dark and gloomy.
How so?
Because she's growing.
Because she's like very fussy, very like needy.
Dude, it's gonna get so much worse.
I know, but this is yes, thank you, but it's worse right now. Like this is the worst it's ever been. It's already bad.
Yeah,
and it's gonna get worse. I get that, but right now it's bad.
Wait till the prank calls start.
Again, I'll enjoy that when it gets there because I enjoy the prank calls. Not that they cost me $100K, but so you know what I was thinking? I was like, man, I'm kind of in a kind of a sour mood. I'm in like a whatever mood. Like my wife is, doing a lot with the baby. Where there's just a lot of things going on in life. And then I heard a song.
You need to cheer yourself up.
Yeah, and then I heard a song and I was like, man, whenever I hear this song, I feel happy.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't be upset when I hear
Who
this
Let
song.
the Dogs Out?
Is that your thing?
That's one that makes me happy.
It's hard to be sad when Who Let the Dogs Out.
I mean, it's
plays.
just like
yeah.
Do you want to submit that as yours?
It wasn't
I want to go across the room.
It's the first one that popped into my head of like, this song makes me happy.
It's not my happiest song, but it's.
What's your happiest
I don't
song,
think I've
Billy?
ever frowned when Who Let the Dogs Out starts playing.
What's your happiest song?
I don't know. I'm still searching for happiness.
Saz?
I want to hear. I want to know what your song was.
Yeah.
Well, you might not know my song though.
How do you know? You,
Bad
you got me
Bunny?
pegged?
It's a Bad Bunny song.
Oh, Bad Bunny.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so DTMF. Debí tirar más foto.
Oh, I gotta hear it.
Yeah,
like
sing a
these
little.
words
Yeah,
don't mean anything to me.
sing a little
Debí
portion.
tirar más foto de cuando te tuve. Debí darte más besos.
That's
y
one of mine, too.
abrazo las veces que pude. So with
That's
that,
one. Zaz likes that one.
so with that, I know you like that. I'll show you after
Yeah,
this.
that's a
We can't
banger.
play it now because
That's in your
YouTube
top
won't.
5?
Return to the Mac is another one for me. Return to the Mac. That used to be a good Friday song you throw in the car when you're driving home.
I don't like that one.
I don't. Yeah.
I mean,
Me. It's funny. The first song I thought it was TLC "Creep." I always smile when that song. So I creep. Yeah, just keep it on the down low, cause nobody's supposed.
I don't want to play this game with Jeremy. Zaz, you go.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of in that area too. Like, man, if you play me some Boys to Men, and then you give me some Motown Philly, woo! I'm in a great mood.
How do you
BBC, BBD.
How do you feel, guys, just in general, like Zaz, I mean, this is more towards you guys, no offense to anyone else in the room, but like, how do you guys feel that now you guys can see some of your favorite acts at things that you're doing? So like you mentioned TLC. I was at Universal Studios, and I just saw, TLC is performing a concert tonight.
What?
At Universal Studios.
What?
Well, left I wasn't there, but TLC is performing a concert
T-Boz?
tonight. Yeah, TLC was there. Part of their Mardi Gras concert series. It was
Chili?
TLC. Yeah, Chili was there.
Not Left Eye, though.
No, she couldn't make it.
I was a Chili guy.
Yeah. But, like, how do you feel? Like, because I'm sure Boys to Men is also on that circuit. Like, you could see Boys to Men probably at Busch Gardens if you want, or at Universal. Like, that's awesome.
So insulting.
Billy,
why is that insulting?
Billy, I'll give you the best example of this. I went to the very first playoff game ever at the Clippers' new building, the Intuit Dome. Beautiful building. And they
Have you ever sat on the wall?
Well, no, because it's just they vet you. You can't just sit in the wall. They vet you. You got to prove that you're a Clipper fan. They go through your social media. Dude, it is vetted. You're not allowed to sit there unless you're a Clipper super fan.
And they track like your behavior while you're sitting there.
How loud you're being.
That's every seat. One of my producers on Oddball had that happen to him at another game where he was sitting and they came to him and said, "Hey, congratulations, you were the loudest in your section, and so here's a gift bag." So that they do this, right? Wow, but the wall, I'm glad you brought up the wall. It's there, and so it's the first playoff game, and the atmosphere is electric. And the Clippers got out to a big hot start, and Nuggets called timeout. And the first timeout, I hear the voice, "To the windows!" And then they cut the music, and everyone goes, "To the wall!" Everyone. And you know what happened? Yin Yang Twins came out and performed it during the timeout. During the timeout.
I'm so glad that you mentioned the Yin Yang Twins because, like, this used to happen at Marlins games all the time where, like, there'd be, like, the Saturday concert, and it was always, like,
Willie Sereno.
Yeah, Casey and the Sunshine Band, like, stuff like that. It's
Steve
like,
Miller Band.
Like, it was always, like, oldies stuff, right?
Yeah.
And as, like, a teenager seeing some of these oldies acts come out, I was like, man, Yin Yang Twins were pretty wild. Like, I don't know how, like, when I'm in my 60s and 50s, I'm going to come here with, like, my 20-year-old kid and explain, like, the Yin Yang Twin lyrics. Like, we're going to be singing that at, like, 50 years old? Because, like, music's a little wild right now. So I don't know how that's going to age gracefully into oldies.
Well, Billy, I'm glad it's aging gracefully because I went to, this is 3 years ago, I went to a taco spot in Phoenix. This is like at the end of the night. I was out drinking with my buddies. We walk in, and we're like, what? The sound feedback, what terrible sound system. We turn, and I swear to God, to a crowd of about 7 people, Yin Yang Twins were performing. No way. I swear to God. Hey, I'll get my buddy Stephon Swyatt to come back me up on this. Me and Stephon looked there like, is that the Yin Yang Twins? And it was just like to nobody. It was like just to an empty restaurant at like midnight.
Oh, no, it's so sad.
I saw. Well, I mean, I've told this a bunch of times, but I saw the Yin Yang Twins in New Orleans just performing in the casino. And then they were just hanging out in the lobby, and we took pictures with the Yin Yang Twins. Like, they're just there.
Tough times for the
We
twins.
only asked one Yin Yang Twin for a picture, and the other Yin Yang Twin came and got in the picture. It was great. He was there, and he was doing that. Yeah.
In case you were wondering, the song is Run Around Sue by Dion, released in 1961.